It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
All right, maybe they can justify Roman Reigns allowing Solo Sikoa to get this drunk on power because for the last bunch of months, Solo Sikoa and this rogue bloodline seem to be focused on only opponents that have feuded with Roman Reigns, big feuds. A little bit of LA Knight, a little bit of Randy Orton, a little bit of Cody Rhodes, a little bit of Kevin Owens. Doesn't seem like the bloodline cares all that much. Yes, they destroyed DIY last week. Makes me think that we could see a tag team championship match down the line. Hey, I would have no objection to see Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu become future tag team champions for SmackDown. Feeling it. Totally feeling Jacob Fatu. I mean, look, we've seen his work outside of WWE, obviously. We've seen what he's done overseas. We've seen what he's done locally for indie promotions. But you never truly know or can feel how somebody could adapt to the WWE machine. You know, you think about some wrestlers that came out of NXT. And without naming any names, some are no longer with WWE. Some of them are on the main roster right now, but are struggling. Somebody who seems destined to be a big star on WWE's main roster doesn't necessarily pan out every single time. I'll bring up one example, Cameron Grimes. Look at what they've done to Giovanni Vinci. You know, that, I mean, what do you do? What do you do with guys like that? And listen, there's lots of others, but, it's interesting to sit back and think, okay, Roman Reigns, why would you allow Solo Sikoa to get to this point? Well, there's obvious reasons, but you have Solo and the bloodline focus on the people that Roman Reigns isn't really too fond of. And then you're like, okay, I could see where they're going with this. So, Jacob Fatu, man, I'm telling you, listen, even before he lost the 35 pounds, that guy was a machine. But again, just because you dominate outside of WWE doesn't mean that you can adapt to WWE machine. It's a totally different animal. The WWE universe is a totally different ball game than a lot of other promotions out there. And that's not a negative or a positive, so to speak. Some people are better adapted, better equipped to work elsewhere. Not everybody is guaranteed to get over in a WWE machine. It's not just the wrestling fans that you have to win over, but it's also creative. You look at the mindset. Andrade tonight, I personally think Andrade tonight had his greatest match since he's been back in the WWE. And listen, he won that Speed Championship, and that match was fucking great. The only thing is, it was only 3 minutes long. That's the problem with the Speed Championship. But Andrade tonight had the best match since he has returned to the WWE. And even with that, I just don't feel where the sales are going to be behind Andrade's back. And I have been an Andrade fan. If anybody goes back, back even in the COVID days when he was teaming up with Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza and Zelina Vega was in their group, I sung the praise for Andrade big time. But just something just feels like it's not going to connect, and it's just a vibe. Not every vibe that I have ends up being true. I ruffled a lot of feathers on Monday. Kev ruffled some feathers too on Monday when we had some real talk about the Wyatt Six. Of course we want to see it work. Of course we want to see it succeed. Of course we want to see it propel. We like most of the people in the group, but we get this really, really strong mid-card vibes, and I keep thinking to myself, okay, what's next after Chad Gable? The New Day? You know, that you think about the Final Testament, and there was so much potential for Karrion Kross, and then they put him with the AOP, and the AOP, listen, I know a lot of you out there have short-term memory. I do sometimes as well. But before the AOP came back, people were like, oh my God, why are they not bringing them back? They were an awesome tag team. Yeah, them and Paul Ellering, they kicked ass. You know, what did they do with Rockstar Spud? Why did they have him in this corner? You know, oh my God, bring him back. It brought him back. These fucking guys look like they're falling asleep outside the ring just because you look at in this year. You know, those two guys should have been much, much, much higher on the food chain on the main roster because they do have ability. But unfortunately for creative, not everybody fits in the machine. And it's not a black or a white or an Indian or a sexist thing. It's just, look, you know, some people could write great sci-fi, but they can't write good comedy. Some people could book this person great and this person terribly. So I tell you, I'm really, really digging Jacob Fatu, man. He is quickly becoming my favorite on SmackDown. And that says a lot. That really does. You know, and I noticed tonight, 3 things. Obviously, Jacob Fatu and the Roman Reigns, you know, that viewpoint. But 2 other things. Is this 3 weeks in a row now that Austin Theory and Grayson Waller have main evented SmackDown? And I know incidents have happened after the matches have been over, but I believe this is 3 weeks in a row now that Austin Theory and Grayson Waller have had the last match on SmackDown. They lost the tag titles 2 weeks ago. They lost the tag team title rematch last week, and tonight they lost to Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. And I think this might be the final match you will see Grayson Waller and Austin Theory as a team, because once again, Grayson Waller going out of Dodge and letting Austin Theory take the Cody cutter. So it gets to a point now where you got to start that split. You got to start that split. Also, something else. And listen, I hope all of you out there tune into, at minimum, the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show. Because if you tune into that show, you know that Kevin and I are big fans of Mia Yim. We absolutely love her work. She is talented. We root for her. But we are also pretty, we keep it very real as far as perception goes. And something really caught my eye tonight on SmackDown. And I had to do a little research, and we'll have some fun for everybody who's live right now. And if you're listening to this or watching this on the archive, feel free to play along. But when Michin came out for her match against Tiffany Stratton tonight, Corey Graves made a remark, and I wrote it down, and he said, and I quote, that Michin has been on an absolute tear the last few months. An absolute tear. My friends, all of you out there, here's a little trivia contest for all of you. Tell me the last person that Mia Yim defeated on SmackDown. So just all I ask is you type a little quick. You can misspell. It's just okay. But who do you think is the last person that Mia Yim, Michin, has defeated on SmackDown? Michael Gonzalez says Zelina Vega. Not a bad choice. All right. One fall says Sonya Deville. Dayhawk says 0. All right, let's narrow it down. Who do you think Mia Yim has defeated on SmackDown in 2024? Mo Word says Natalia. Brandon says maybe she beat Zoe Stark. What if I told you that Mia Yim has not won a match on SmackDown this year? My friends, How many matches do you think Michin Mia Yim has won in her SmackDown career? Singles matches. Fuck the tag teams. How many singles matches do you think Michin Mia Yim has won on SmackDown going into tonight? How many? M Hawk says 2. TLD says 5. DeMarcus says 2. Rojo Bear says 1. Brandon Jones says 2. What if I tell you it's a big fat goose egg? Tonight's win against Tiffany Stratton is Michin's first singles win ever on SmackDown. That goes back, even though it was only for a night, I think, or 2. That goes back to Retribution days. Here's a better one. Mia Yim, her entire WWE career for about a little less than 2 years. How many televised matches do you think she has had wins in singles competition, including Raw? In her 18, 19 months on the main roster, how many wins do you think she's had on TV in singles competition? The answer is 1. She beat Io Sky January 16th of 2023 on Raw. At that time, Michin was teaming up with Candice LeRae. That is the only time Mia Yim has ever won a singles match on WWE television. She might have won a main event match sometime this year, but that's not televised, obviously. So when you hear Corey Graves and others make these comments, sometimes you got to do a little bit of research. If you remember, we did a little research on Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio's singles competition has been 2-50. Who was the other person that we brought up recently? We brought it up, I think, on Monday. There was another person, someone will remember, that we did a little bit of research, and that person has had, I think, 1 win in his last 4. Oh, Sonya Deville. Great. Thank you, One Fall. Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville, I think, in 5 years, might have only had like 1 or 2 singles wins on TV. So, even though commentators make comments like that, sometimes you can't just accept it as it is. Carmelo Hayes, listen, of course he hasn't been on the main roster that long, but outside of beating Baron Corbin, has Carmelo Hayes had a singles win on SmackDown? I don't think so. I think Baron Corbin might be the only, I haven't done the research, but I think that might be his only singles win. We brought up Otis. Otis had 1 singles win in over a year. And yes, the majority of his matches were tag team, but Otis had his fair share of singles matches, and he only won 1. So, we brought up not too long ago, Eric of the Viking Raiders. They were given this perception, and Eric was on a fucking roll on Raw, and we did the research. We're like, wait a minute, he's only had 2 wins in 9 months. So, yeah. But hey, Michin won tonight. And I'm happy for her, because I guarantee you she's probably thinking to herself, when was the last time I won on SmackDown? Yeah, never. This is a first singles win on SmackDown ever. So congrats to Michin. I keep looking down because I took a little bit of notes for SmackDown tonight. That's the only notes I took for tonight, because Friday nights, the sit down is more of a Q&A format. Everybody who is live basically sets the stage for what we talk about tonight. You ask the questions, I offer an opinion, some answers where needed. If you have a comment, I share it with everyone. And as we always say, super chats are never required, but they do help pay the bills. They help us keep around and sometimes grow. And listen, if you like what we do, I don't normally do this, but I keep having people tell me over and over and over, you got to say it, DT, once in a while. If you like what we do, hit the like, subscribe, because apparently you do that enough that tells YouTube, hey, people like this show. Maybe I could recommend it to some others. And that would be pretty cool to see even some old school haters get on their feed. Like, why is this showing up on my feed? This fat fuck is still around? You got to be kidding me. So yeah, it helps. It helps. It's not required, obviously, but it helps, and it's free. So we have quite a few things to get into. This will not be a political show. I do see that one super chat that came in before we went live has to do with Hulk Hogan being on the Republican National Convention. I promise you I will not say anything that will inflame anybody, but I will say this. A lot of shit has gone down in the last 7 days since we've been here on YouTube. The former President Trump assassination attempt. And if you check out some wrestling websites, they titled it as WWE Hall of Famer, almost assassinated. Anything for those hits and views. That was terrible. That was terrible. I don't care if you're my biggest enemy to my family. You kick my dog, you kick my mom. Maybe I wouldn't shed a tear, if somebody whacked you. But that is just, there's no excuse for that. And, it's to see, the fakeness of a lot of people out there. That's the thing. Yeah, as weird as this sounds, I probably would have more respect for someone to have the balls to say to me, you know what? I wish there would have been a different outcome. I would think you're sick to think that it's okay for anybody to have that outcome, but at least you had the balls to have that stupid take in the first place. But for people out there to talk both sides of their mouth, and you know what? I'll open up with this, and then we'll talk a little bit of SmackDown. Got to give props to AEW this week. Listen, all is not cool in the gang with AEW. 780,000 viewers, 800,000 viewers is not anything to write home about. You should have more than that already. But they did something this week that I guarantee you nobody is really bringing up. I'm surprised even Meltzer is not bringing up. If I was Meltzer, I'd be writing this shit everywhere. I'm going to share that with you in a little bit. But, obviously, this week was the Republican National Convention. I did not watch any of it. I watched what Hulk Hogan said because people were talking about it and I wanted to see. But, I also am pretty knowledgeable about Hulk Hogan's political affiliation leading up to this week. And before we went live, Police Squad sent in a 10 spot and said Hulk Hogan was at the Republican National Convention endorsing Trump. What's my reaction to see Hulk there and all the hate he's getting from the wrestling fan since? All right. This is my honest take about this. I'll probably make both sides happy on this. This is not talking out of both sides of my mouth. Trust me. Some people will not like what I have to say. Look, Hulk Hogan back almost 10 years ago, 8 years ago, Hulk Hogan, I remember because Kevin and I talked about it. That's what happens when we do shows for decades together. We talked about it. Hulk Hogan, like 7, 8 years ago, was on TMZ wanting to be Trump's vice president pick. What do you all think about Vice President Hogan, brother? So this is nothing new with Hulk Hogan. Fuck the WrestleMania 4 stuff or whatever that stuff is. There's a lot of people that were there back in the day and don't like Trump now. Hogan has always been a proponent for Trump. It's just that people just don't pay attention or they just act like they don't know for a reason to get triggered now. I'm not the biggest Hulk Hogan fan anymore. I shit on him plenty with the Hogan Knows Best stuff. What he said about John Graziano that time, it was God's will. I get you care and love your son, but some of the things that were said in those jail tapes were awful. The thing that he said that he didn't realize there were cameras around talking about that musical producer that was Brooke Hogan was working with when he said the N-word. Hogan, the one thing that's always bothered me about Hulk Hogan is that he never ate the humble pill and went on speaking campaigns to try to, make this better. Meeting the WWE roster behind the scenes 4 or 5 years ago, to me, is not enough. I think Hulk Hogan should have went on speaking engagements and tell schools, look, you learn from your mistakes. You got to be a better person, this and that, and take it. And Hogan never did that. I think Hogan shielded himself when he cried on TV asking for another chance. You know, I know a lot of people who tried to make amends with him, and he ignored the shit out of them. Unless there was something to advance him, he pretty much was non-existent. So there's many reasons why I don't like Hulk Hogan as much as I used to. I'll always be a Hulkamaniac, and I'll never forget the fact that my grandmother, he was her favorite. She adored him back in the 80s. My grandmother died in 1991. But him endorsing Trump is nothing new. And doing his shtick at the Republican National Convention, what it showed me this week is that there's a lot of wrestling fans that don't know what these conventions are. Republican, Democratic National Conventions are parties. There's a lot of lightheartedness. There's a lot of goofiness, you know, and I think people didn't understand. A lot of people were exposed to that this week. And I'll say one other thing too. I don't blame anybody who disliked Hulk Hogan before, still dislike him now. But there are a lot of people that are using Hulk Hogan as the shield to put their hate about Trump, and they're using it on Hogan, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, oh, you know, that we need to be better people, and, you know, I don't want to vote for Trump, and I don't agree with him, and I don't think he should be president, but, you know, that behavior is not acceptable. But they'll immediately, the next sentence, say some outrageous shit about Hogan because he showed up at the Republican National Convention. You know, it's just a weirdness. That's why I stay away from politics as much as I can. But my honest take is Hogan being there this week doesn't surprise me at all. Why would it surprise anybody out there? You know, he has been a supporter of Trump for a very, very, very long time. So to me, I didn't think it was a big deal. And I swear on Jesus Christ, I'll never do another show ever again. When he appeared live, my wife said to me, Hulk Hogan's on TV. I'm like, what is he doing? He's like, he's on at the Republican National Convention. I said, that's nice. I didn't watch it live. I watched it last night, late, and a little bit more today, just to see, you know, oh, it's like Madison Square Garden, brother. It was not that big of a deal, honestly. So, thank you very much. Umar, I'll get to the AEW stuff in a little bit, if you don't mind. I'll get back to yours in a little bit. Yeah, before we go answer some more super shout outs, let me briefly just touch on SmackDown tonight. SummerSlam is in 2 weeks, and the card is starting to take a little bit more shape. Now, I will tell you, you know, I think some people need to remember that SummerSlam is not a 2-night event yet. But, you know, WWE is more about substance than volume. AEW, listen, I'm going to remind people something here. I'd be a hypocrite if I said anything otherwise. I have no issue with AEW having 14 matches on a pay-per-view. AEW is more of, to me, a cheaper, you know, food establishment where they have to they have to stuff you like a turkey for you to feel like you got your money's worth. They couldn't get by with 5-6 matches. And there's nothing wrong with that. I used to work for Frank Goodman, USA Pro Wrestling, UXW. If any of you out there watch any shoot interviews of any wrestlers who wrestled on the Northeast from around 2002 to maybe 2012, I'd say, yeah, it's a good time period. In 2002 to 2012, Frank Goodman and USA Pro Wrestling is always brought up, and they would always complain like fucking 6-hour marathons. Motherfucker, I got to bring a sleeping bag. Every shoot interview, even I remember I worked the show that the New Age Outlaws were on, and they did a shoot interview, I think, that night. They did a shoot interview that night, or maybe it was Hogan. No, maybe it was Hall and Nash. No, it was the New Age Outlaws. And I remember them even joking like, yeah, we just had this fucking marathon with Frank Goodman. You know, almost everybody, Hall of Famers, young wrestlers at the time, they would always crack jokes that his shows would be 6 hours long. That's what he would do. If you look at any of the events that even I did my wrestle crap stuff on, if you look at the back of the VHS tapes or even the DVDs, if you ever got a DVD, you'll see about 14, 15 matches on there. So I have no issue with AEW doing that. For WWE, though, you have to get used to it. WWE now is more about substance than volume, and you're going to see pay-per-views, premium live events that only have 5, 6, 7 matches on it. And SummerSlam is turning into one of those. We're probably going to see 7 matches tops. And it might even be 6, but I lean towards 7, especially because, you know, there are some matches that we expect to be signed. But at the same time, though, you know, you got Bad Blood in October? And October's not that far away. So Bad Blood, that's probably where we're going to see Cody and Randy Orton. Bad Blood could end up being Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Bad Blood could end up seeing something with Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Bad Blood could be where you get more of, and I'm not saying Cody and Randy is a secondary match, but that's where you're going to see some of the less, you know, money-making matches take place. If you pay close attention, there's a lot of bad blood that is going to develop in the next couple of months. There's a lot of factions. Shit, people, if you really want to stretch right now, you can even bring up Damage Control to an extent. There's a lot of falling out and a lot of factions out there. The bloodline right now might be the most cohesive unit, period. So SummerSlam, you know, it's going to be many important matches on it. And tonight, I mean, Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa was expected, and obviously that is now official for SummerSlam. Most of us are betting the ranch that that's where Roman Reigns needs to make his return. SummerSlam in the future is going to be a 2-night event, and that might be the annual tradition now. You know, you got WrestleMania and you got SummerSlam, those 2-day events. Even though I brought this up, I think a week ago on Patreon, I wouldn't mind seeing Royal Rumble be 2 nights. I know some people feel 2 nights is overkill for wrestling, but even with the Royal Rumble, I think to myself, you know what? You have the women's Royal Rumble match on one night, the men's Royal Rumble match on another night. Maybe you could have the undisputed WWE champion defend his title on one night, and then you have the WWE World Heavyweight Champion defended on the other night. You know, there's definitely potential where you can do that. Plus, if you look at the months, Royal Rumble's usually January, WrestleMania is usually April, SummerSlam is usually August. So it is spread out pretty decent. And hey, if money is to be made, lots of it, WWE probably would do it. So, like I said this past week, take a look, if you're ever bored, take a look at the financials for UFC and look at the financials for WWE. And what you will find is UFC makes a shitload of money with a lot less people paid as far as roster goes. They make a shitload of money with a lot less people on the payroll. And I'm not just talking to people you see perform on TV. WWE needs to pay a shitload of people to get to that revenue. So, you know, you take a look. You'll be very, very surprised with it. Now, tonight also, another match was confirmed for SummerSlam, and that is LA Knight versus Logan Paul. You know, it was funny. LA Knight opened up the promo exchange with Logan Paul tonight, saying that every time we cross paths, I've cooked you. Tonight, I thought Logan Paul kind of cooked LA Knight on the mic. I mean, I thought both sides did a great job, but man, they got some great fucking chemistry. The only thing that annoys me, I don't even know why people still keep doing this, Logan Paul said that, LA Knight is nothing but a wannabe version of The Rock. And I've said this a trillion times. I remember clearly when Stunning became, Extreme, and then he became Ringmaster, and then he became Stone Cold. You listen to old Stone Cold Steve Austin, and you listen to LA Knight's cadence. It's not a ripoff, it's not a copycat, but it is fucking inspired. It is inspired by Steve Austin. I don't know where fucking people keep saying The Rock. Honestly, I think the reason why Logan Paul even mentioned The Rock tonight is because he's on the board of directors. I think that's why even other people in the WWE, when they mention The Rock, when they cut jokes about LA Knight, I think it's because Rock is on the board of directors. It is a trillion times, more Stone Cold than it is The Rock. Seriously. But they had an awesome back and forth tonight. And it was so smooth, but it made you believe that Logan Paul was truly pissed off. Because when you have contract signings, many times you get the heel that doesn't want to defend their belt. Then you say something stupid like, oh yeah, you want a match? You got it. And it's like, wow, that was easy. I was looking for my button you remember Staples? That was easy. I don't have that button anymore. You know why I thought I had that button? Because I got my bullshit alarm over here that we haven't used in a while. The Staples button looked just like this, but it would say that was easy. Remember? That was easy. But tonight I liked Logan Paul cooking LA Knight, saying, look, he's like a fake spray tan bodybuilder, wannabe, that you have nothing to offer to me, that I could, gain from, saying that he has no defining moments in the last 20 years. He even called LA Knight Sean, because LA Knight is running off all the interaction he's had with LA Knight leading up to tonight. And he's rambling. And Logan Paul is like, you shut up, Sean. Listen to yourself, Sean. And they had some really good back and forth. Logan Paul dropping some facts about LA Knight, but then LA Knight basically calling Logan Paul a pussy, saying that your brother, because Logan Paul name dropped that, well, he didn't name drop Trump's name, but he name dropped, a lot of his accolades, the social media influencer, Prime Energy, arguably, I don't want to say billionaire, but tens of millions. He mentioned that he interviews former presidents. He's done a lot. And he talks about Jake Paul and the Paul family. And LA Knight says, you brought up your brother. Your brother wants to fight Mike Tyson. I guess balls don't run in the family. So, taking a couple of ego shots at Logan Paul. And Logan Paul's like, you want this? You got it. And then it was funny because LA Knight a year ago, when he cut his promo, he was drawing a map to the road where Logan Paul could stick all his Prime Energy drinks up his ass. So tonight, Logan Paul takes a pen because Nick Aldis is in the ring for the contract signing. And Logan Paul is like, I'm going to draw the map here. And he's drawing an ass. You could see he's drawing an asshole. And he's like, here's your path to the United States Championship. I thought that was great tonight. I thought they did a great job. And I'll say this. I feel LA Knight absolutely has to win this championship. Will LA Knight become damaged goods if he loses? No. But, look, I swear, please do not blow up or I know this is a bad analogy, but this is the best way I could put it. It's the best way I could put it. Back in the 80s, before Hulk Hogan went to the WWF, he was in the AWA. And Hulk Hogan was becoming extremely popular. He he made the appearance on Rocky III. I don't want to say started it, but obviously it was a big moment for him. I still remember to this day, I think it was Pro Wrestling Illustrated one of the magazines that I kept for ages. He was on the cover and it said, Thunder Lips, Hulk Hogan, wrestling or Hollywood. And it was the pose, and he was Thunder Lips at Rocky III. And Hogan was getting crazy momentum. He was on Johnny Carson. He was on other TV shows. And Vern Gagne started putting him in a feud against Nick Bockwinkel. And what happened was they did bullshit finishes where the fans would think that Hogan won the title and then there would be some bullshit reason why he didn't win. There would be like a lot of, like bullshit finishes. And Vern Gagne realized that the first time, like, holy shit, I got to milk this. The fans are losing their fucking minds. They went nuts when they thought Hogan won the championship. I got to do it again. I got to tease it again. So they had a rematch. The same bullshit happened. If you checked out my history shows, go look it up, Hogan Bockwinkel, and listen to some of the audio that I put on. It's very near the very beginning of the episode. I put on numerous clips, and Vern Gagne got greedy, and he kept sticking it to Hogan and fucking him over and over with bullshit finishes. But what Vern Gagne totally fucked up with is he wasn't just screwing Hulk Hogan's finishes. He was also screwing with the fans' trust. And what happened almost immediately was that the fans were like, man, fuck this. Fuck this bullshit. I think once or twice they were chanting bullshit, bullshit. The fans were angry. And Hogan shortly thereafter left. In fact, I even think, if I remember correctly, and forgive me if I'm wrong, I even think that Hulk Hogan was advertised to face Bockwinkel on another couple of house shows, and Vern Gagne knew that Hulk was gone and still advertised it up to the last minute. And then obviously they had to change it. Hulk had signed with the WWF, but he kept rolling the dice. He was like, hey, the fans want him to be champion so bad. We'll just give them the taste, then we'll take it away, and they'll want it more and more and more. And 10,000 people show up, and 20,000 people show up, and with 25,000, and he did it too many times. I'm not saying that LA Knight is on Hogan's level from 1983. But what I am saying is that LA Knight has been tremendously over for well over a year. I mean, the Maxine Dupree days are long gone, but you have to give vindication for LA Knight, and you have to give the fans something. I know for a lot of people, it's titles don't matter. There's too many titles. I get it. But in this case, it is the perception that WWE sees a winner in LA Knight, not just a character that is over with the fans. To me, this is LA Knight's make or break as far as the WWE fans' anger in the WWE. I get that a lot of people felt that way with Drew McIntyre in Scotland, but that was more regional. And also, there's a massive feud going on right now with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre is going to end up beating CM Punk. Drew McIntyre will be a world heavyweight champion before 2025 is over. And I know that's a long ways away, but your WWE career is not all about titles. Drew McIntyre, it's funny how fans are bitching 1,000 times more than Drew McIntyre is. He's not bitching. He knows what the deal is. Just like Chad Gable. I'm frustrated that Chad Gable has to wait this long to win one title, especially when you think of how some people have won titles in the past. But for LA Knight, though, at the age of 41, and especially being as over as he is, there's only so many times that you could screw him in the ass. And the fans will be like, all right, all right. People are like, man, bullshit. Seriously. You don't want to keep, I think this is his make or break moment. And listen, as I feel right now, it is almost a lock 100%. He will win that championship at SummerSlam. If he doesn't win, I don't even care if it's Logan Paul with a chicken shit brass knuckles. If he doesn't win, trust me, I think fans are just this is not, oh, no, he'll get it in Survivor Series or Bad Blood. No, you got to do it now. And SummerSlam is one of the biggest events. Arguably, it's going to be WWE's number 2 event of the year. So that's why even last year and this year, I said if LA Knight won the Money in the Bank briefcase this year, I would have liked to see him cash it in on Logan Paul. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's stupid. He's got to cash in on the World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah, do you think LA Knight would have beaten Gunther or Seth Rollins or Damian Priest? If whoever was champion, do you think LA Knight would have defeated Cody Rhodes? No. There's no path for LA Knight to become world champion right now. That's why, in hindsight, I'm glad he didn't win the briefcase last year, and I'm glad he didn't win the briefcase this year. He's getting his title shot anyway. So this is almost LA Knight's world championship shot. And that's not a bad thing. Gunther fucking elevated that Intercontinental Championship, and some people feel like Gunther's reign was better than almost anybody in the WWE, other than obviously Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins to a degree. So I thought they did a spectacular job tonight. Absolutely. A couple other things that went down tonight. We had a famous boxer in the crowd by the name of Terrence Crawford. I don't follow boxing all that much. I've heard of his name before, but I wouldn't have recognized him if you were to show me a picture. It's funny how Corey Graves is doing something quite a bit these days. And it's almost as annoying as Excalibur, but I think it's worse for Corey Graves, and I'll tell you why. I hate when Excalibur in AEW, one of the things I hate is that somebody from CMLL or New Japan will come out in AEW and he will talk to us as if we're supposed to know who they are. Oh my God, that's blah, 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 blah. You know who that is. That's blah, blah. I'm like, no, we don't for the most part, almost all the time. And it's funny how he premature ejaculated when he said, that's Malachi Black, before Malachi Black even said his name was Malachi Black. But I'll give Excalibur a little credit. At least he's saying it about wrestlers. For a majority of the WWE universe, there's a lot of these sports figures that show up, whether they're soccer players or lacrosse players or boxers or even some basketball players. Sure, locally, if WWE's in Indiana and somebody from the Indiana Pacers is sitting front row, people are like, oh, look who it is. But if I'm in New York, I mean, Kevin and I name drop baseball players on the Mets. And in many cases, people are like, who? I don't know who that is. If I showed you that picture, you wouldn't know who it is. Of course, there are some regular names that you know, but Corey Graves name drops non-wrestlers as if the WWE universe all know who they are. Even with some low-rent hip-hop artists, some low-rent country music artists. And I'm not talking about what's that guy's name? Jelly Donut, Jelly Roll. Of course, a lot of people know who that is, but sometimes they're like, oh, look, that's Hank Johnson. I'm like, I don't know who that is. Wait, you know who that is? That's Marty blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, I don't know who that fuck that is. But obviously he was shown tonight for a reason. Cody Rhodes comes out. Cody Rhodes planting those seeds. Kind of screwed up tonight. He's talking about Randy, calls him his brother, and he says that on the camera that the reason why Randy was not there tonight is because of Solo Sikoa. And as I'm watching that, I'm saying to myself, oh, that's the turning point. No, it was not. Solo Sikoa was not the reason why Randy was not there tonight. Cody Rhodes is the reason why Randy was not there tonight, because Cody insisted on taking on 4 guys at the same time, And that's why Randy Orton had to come out and save his fucking ass last week and got killed over it. And Kevin Owens tonight the same. So that's my mindset. And Cody's about to say, Solo, before WrestleMania 39, I said that you were not ready. And how does it feel now that I'm undisputed WWE champion? You're still not ready. And then he gets interrupted by Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. And Austin Theory's a little annoyed. Hey, look what happened to me last week. Because of you, Jacob Fatu made my mouth swell. And Cody is like, is that from Jacob Fatu? Is that because Grayson Waller needs you in the mouth? And then next thing you know, there's a brawl before anything could be said. But Grayson Waller did make a remark. And he pretty much said what I was thinking and what a lot of you were thinking. Grayson Waller said, Randy is not here tonight, not because it's Solo Sikoa, but because of you. And that's what led to the brawl. That's the seed planted for Randy Orton. A lot of people want to see mutual respect. No. You don't, listen, as much as I love some of my fellow podcasters out there and ones that have many times more people that tune in than my stuff, and yes, DTKC show is earning everybody's respect and trust back one day at a time. But when I see a lot of these, and I don't know if they're doing it like the Dave LaGreca method. It was funny. Listen, I'm not thrilled at Cornette because of some of the things he said this week political wise. You know what I'm talking about. But it's funny. He put up, this has to do with SmackDown tonight and Randy Orton. He put up a review of the WrestleMania 40 documentary. And I agree with almost everything he said, but he said something really funny and very interesting about all the podcasters that made cameos on this documentary, the Dave LaGrecas, the Sam Roberts, and the others. And, if you've tuned into my shows in the past, and if you tune into the DTKC show, the difference between us and almost everybody else out there that do shows is that we tell you straight up how we feel. And that goes against a lot of the sports entertainment aspect about being a podcaster and how you get notoriety and how you get big guests and how you get, big, exposure for many people is that you not just act sometimes that what you're watching is real. I don't mean it like that, but you have to do it on steroids. And Jim Cornette made the point. Brian Last said it too. He said, look at these fucking people. What fucking normal human being is going to be like, yeah, Rock is going to come back and, he's going to screw Cody and that's bullshit. Eat a fucking Snickers bar. Get a little head, or whether it's your M&Ms, you like them with peanuts or plain. Take a Xanax. The fuck is wrong with you? We're watching wrestling. It's sports entertainment. You're fucking yelling at you. That's like these goofs that are on social media that their team loses a football game and they didn't even bet on the game. And then they film themselves putting a brick through their 90-inch TV. And then they put it on social media as if, hey, look, I'm a star. I broke a fucking $1,000 TV. You're not cool. You're a moron. So you see these people out there like the Dave LaGrecas, nothing personal against him. But if he went out there and said, Rock is returning, maybe he's a little bit drunk on power or a storyline, whatever you want to take on that ain't going to show up in no WWE documentary. You want to get on the WWE documentary, you see something when Roman Reigns comes back and he calls out Solo Sikoa. Yeah, of course we're going to be like, oh, this is fucking great. But they're going to be like, he's got to kill Solo Sikoa. How dare what he did to that family. I can't do that. Randy Orton, with a lot of these numbnuts in the podcasting world, it should be respect. Brother from another mother. Randy and Cody, they're close. They're like brothers. Mutual respect. The name of the fucking pay-per-view is called Bad Blood. It's called Bad Blood, not Honor. What the fuck do you think it's called Bad Blood for? You're going to do mutual respect. That's no bad blood then. idiots, morons, with all, and I don't mean that personally. Don't get upset at me. It's not my fault that you look at the pay-per-view. Oh, I wonder if we could have mutual respect on a pay-per-view called Bad Blood. I'm going to go to war, and I'm going to show up with cake and coffee. Listen, before I blow you apart, have a donut with me. Let's have some Krispy Kreme, idiots. I listen to some, and I know some people are saying that because that's a popular take. And a lot of people will go with that. Yeah, they have this history and should be respected, this or that. Yeah, it's not WWE presents Kumbaya. Morons. So anyway, Cody Rhodes wants a handicap match tonight. Nick Aldis says, no, you have to have a partner. You have until the end of the night to get a partner. And we're wondering, is Kevin Owens going to be back now? Obviously, some beautiful news this week. I had the picture ready, even if Kevin Owens did not return tonight. Kevin Owens posted this beautiful picture of his mom on social media this week. And he wrote, she kicked out. She kicked out. And God bless his mom. My mom, a lot of you know the issues that my mom has gone through. She's been on borrowed time now for 6 years. And every year that goes by now, I always, whenever it's a holiday or every time I leave her house, I always get this bad feeling in my stomach. Is this the last time I'm going to see my mom? My mom just had breast cancer surgery. She just saw a plastic surgeon a couple of days ago. I'm probably getting a little bit too deep here, but, I know how much that pain is to see somebody you love like your mom go through stuff like this. So when I saw this news for Kevin Owens, it really, really hit home for me. I'm very, very happy for him. But I had that picture ready to show no matter what. But when Cody said he had a partner tonight, I'm sure 99.9% of you out there said, I wonder if Kevin Owens is going to be back this week. And sure enough, it was Kevin Owens. And we did see a promo that was going to set up the finale of SmackDown tonight. We see another backstage recording of the Bloodline. And Solo Sikoa, hey, life is good being the tribal chief on the island of relevancy. But I'm very busy. No, I'm not going to be Cody's partner. But whoever dares team up with Cody tonight, you are an enemy of the Bloodline. You are an enemy of my family. You are an enemy. And now you realize, okay, whoever is going to get it is going to get fucked tonight. And that's why I think most of us expected Kevin Owens, especially what we said before. Wasn't going to be LA Knight because LA Knight has got his Logan Paul match. So sure enough, Kevin Owens is there. They have the match. Towards the end of the match, Cody goes for a Cody cutter. And as you see, I'm not reading from notes. I'm just from what I remember. Cody goes for a Cody cutter on both Waller and Theory. Waller gets out of dodge, kind of pulls Theory into the middle. So Cody hits a Cody cutter on Theory, pins him. And then after the match is over, here comes the Bloodline. You get a little bit of offense early on Tama Tongaloa, and Solo Sikoa. Cody and Randy Orton even teased for a minute they were going to put Solo through a table, but unfortunately they started having a conversation. Instead of just picking him up and just dropping on the table, they're like, yeah, let's do this. Yeah, let's do this. Jacob, where are you? Let's do this. Yeah. And then Jacob Fatu finally shows up and nails them both. Throws Cody in the steps. And listen, of course, it's just storyline, but it's a little cheesy to see Solo Sikoa and Tongaloa in there holding Cody outside the ring. And Cody's like, I'm like, come on, man. It looks so lame. And and I guess Solo Sikoa, give Solo Sikoa credit on this one. He must have realized that the camera was zoomed in on him. So Solo Sikoa is holding him, and Cody looks like a goldfish out of the water. He's like this. And Solo starts punching him in the face. But Cody could have easily broke out of that, But what ends up happening is Jacob Fatu shows up and just flat out destroys Kevin Owens. Puts Kevin Owens in the corner, sitting down. And you know how Kevin Owens does his cannonball into the corner, Jacob Fatu just, running on both sides of the ring, a lot of vintage Umaga. Ass to the face of Kevin Owens, did it like 4 times. And Jacob Fatu, if you watch that slow, it's so crisp. And yes, I kind of have like a wrestling crush on Jacob Fatu right now, but if you slow it down and you watch him run into the corner and he smashes Kevin Owens' head backwards, you say to yourself, I don't care if that's staged or not. Kevin Owens' neck is not supposed to move like that. If you look closely and you slow it down, Jacob Fatu's ass is going right into that turnbuckle, and he is absorbing most of it. So even though some of it connects, make no mistake about it, but Jacob Fatu, that shit's got to hurt a little bit. And he did it like 4 times. They put Cody through the table, and then Tama Tonga puts a chair around Kevin Owens' neck, throws him into the corner post, and that's it. We ain't seeing Kevin Owens before SummerSlam. We ain't seeing Randy Orton before SummerSlam. Next week, Cody Rhodes is probably going to be all by his lonesome, and then the following week is to go home to SummerSlam. Very, very well done tonight. Thought it was well done. Obviously, the crowd is chanting, "We want Roman." You will get him. It's almost there. You will get him. Some other things that went down tonight. Bianca Belair beat Chelsea Green. I agree with everybody out there. I don't know why this only went 2 minutes. I mean, I didn't feel like the opening was really like going to over doing too much time. I honestly think they could have had a little bit more time, but Bianca Belair has Jade Cargill in her corner. Chelsea Green has Piper Niven in her corner. They have a match, not even 2 minutes. Bianca goes for the KOD. Chelsea reverses it into a roll-up. And then Bianca reverses the roll-up into her own, gets the pin. Little quick stare down with the 4 in the ring, but Chelsea Green and Piper Niven get out of Dodge. And then, I don't know how you felt about it, but I kind of feel like I was right. But Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, if you remember, after Money in the Bank, oh wait, it wasn't even Money in the Bank. It was Scotland, Clash at the Castle. I said to Kev, I don't see them as baby faces. I mean, I know Clash at the Castle, what happened to Alba Fire's mom, and thank you everybody, from Tuesday. You know what I'm talking about. Alba Fire's mom, we remember what happened in Florida. And coming out of Scotland, a lot of people thought they were going to have this baby face run. Certainly tonight, it did not feel like a baby face run. Especially with, the way that Isla Dawn was talking tonight. And I don't know. Listen, Kev has a little bit of a crush on Alba Fire. I think she's massively attractive. I'm more of an Isla Dawn type of person. But I was looking at Isla Dawn's outfit tonight, and I just kept thinking of New Jack. When New Jack used to go on our shows and he used to talk about baloney. And I kept watching. I was like, the unholy baloney. I was like watching it I didn't say it out loud. I would have been smacked by my missus inside. But I'm looking at it tonight, and she's cutting a promo like, we'll give you a taste next week. We'll be on SmackDown. We'll give you a taste next week. And I'm like, oh, shit. They're going to get the title shot the night before SummerSlam, because isn't that kind of what happened the night before Money in the Bank? And as I'm looking at it tonight, I'm thinking of New Jack, and I'm like, unholy baloney. But to me, they acted like heels tonight. I don't know if you felt that way, but it sure felt like they were heels to me. So what else did we get tonight? Oh, I'll get back to Andrade in a minute. Michin, as I said earlier, defeated Tiffany Stratton. We had this video package for Tiffany Stratton tonight. Some old school NXT stuff. Basically, if you've seen any video package for Tiffany Stratton, it's everything about looks and money and everything about her. And I think what happened with the briefcase tonight might be designed for something else. I might be stretching it here. We didn't see no wrestle votes post this rumor, but I almost fucking guarantee you're going to see it before this weekend is over. Because, again, this is how the sausage is made. But Tiffany comes out for her match with Nia Jax in her corner. And Tiffany's taking on Michin. During the match, Tiffany's got the upper hand. She's about to hit a moonsault and Bayley is at ringside. And Tiffany stops. What are you doing here? Nia Jax gets into it with Bayley. Now, earlier in the night, Bayley and Nia Jax had a split screen interview, 2 separate rooms. Bayley is extremely confident going into SummerSlam. Poor girl. Nia Jax, she's going to put her out of her misery, almost like Old Yeller. It's interesting how now they're treating Bayley as like that grizzled veteran. You know, and Bayley throwing a little shots at Nia Jax. The only reason why you hurt me 7 years is because you were big, careless, and stupid. Couldn't say fat, though. Can't say fat. You got to say big and stupid and careless. So that added some tension. But Bayley comes out during Tiffany's match. Bayley gets into it with Nia Jax outside the ring. Now, while this is happening, Meechin is laid out in the ring because Tiffany was going to hit the moonsault. Tiffany keeps looking outside the ring, and she keeps her eye, and I'm like, shit. They going to have Meechin roll her up. So Bayley takes the briefcase, and she opens it. And Tiffany's like, what are you doing in my briefcase? Now, I thought that was kind of goofy because I'm like, hey, Tiff, suspension of disbelief storyline, everybody. Tiff, Meechin is laid out. Go out of the fucking ring and grab it. She's standing in the ring like she's paralyzed, like she's Josephine 924. And she's like, what are you doing with my briefcase? Bayley opens it up, opens it the opposite way, steps on it, breaks it in half. No! And then Meechin rolls her up. I have a feeling we are getting a new briefcase, maybe pink, maybe with little bits of diamonds, and it's going to be like all girled up, tricked up. Is that how you would say it? I have a feeling she's going to come back with a new and improved briefcase, custom made for Tiffany Stratton. Go watch and see how many nerds this weekend. My sources tell me that WWE is planning to give Tiffany her own custom briefcase. My sources backstage tell me. Yeah, Jose Cuervos, the janitor, told you that. I could be wrong, but I think Tiffany Stratton, I got money. I got myself my own briefcase. Right? Wouldn't you? Andrade beat Carmelo Hayes tonight. I personally, like I said, best match since Andrade's been back. Crowd was into it. Crowd was chanting, this is awesome. Andrade and Carmelo Hayes got great chemistry together. And you know what's a shame about it? We just had a speed match with Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov that went to a draw. So I think that's going to lead to a 3-way between Ilya, Carmelo Hayes, and Andrade. And I know on the surface, a lot of you are like, what are you complaining about, DT? That's awesome. It's WWE speed. It's going to be 3 minutes long at the most. I mean, I like the draw idea because it's WWE speed and sometimes 3 minutes. You know, it's funny. We're talking about 3-minute warning too. 3 minutes and you're out of here. But Andrade and Carmelo Hayes have such good chemistry together, and it sucks that their feud might be more designed for WWE speed. You know, 3-minute matches, you're just getting warmed up. The next thing you know, the match is over. Tonight, they killed it. And I love the spot where Andrade goes for the moonsault, and Carmelo Hayes rolls backwards to get out of dodge, and Andrade lands on his feet and all in one smooth move. He does the moonsault, lands on his feet, and does a moonsault standing up moonsault onto Carmelo Hayes. Crowd loved it. You would have thought it was a pay-per-view tonight. That's how much the crowd was into this match tonight. It was great. It was excellent. Next week, I believe we're going to have LA Knight versus Santos Escobar. We had the Acme Insta feud take place backstage tonight. If the LA Knight has a contract signed with Logan Paul, LA Knight's walking in the back. Santos Escobar shows up with Elektra Lopez. Santos is like, LA Knight. And Elektra's like, ew. LA Knight, ew. And Santos is throwing a little bit of smack LA Knight's way. And LA Knight's basically like, listen, you want a match, you want to do something about it, your mother's got my phone number. And the crowd's like, yeah, that's high school stuff, but still, the way he did it was good. So that's going to set up a match next week. Next week, we're having Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax also take on Michin and Bayley. Kind of have a feeling who's going to be eating the pin next week. No more wins for you, Mia, for 2 more years. I enjoyed SmackDown tonight. I enjoyed it very much. But LA Knight and Logan P, right? Low T Logan P. Is that what LA Knight said tonight? That was good. I enjoyed it. All right. So let's spend the remaining, I guess we'll stick around for like another half hour. Let's answer questions. Garth, I don't remember where Slammiversary is at. It's in Montreal. I believe it's in Montreal, 4,000 seat arena. Could someone double check the name? We brought it up on Monday. I mean, we did a whole analysis on the arena. It seats about 4,400, and it's a complete sellout. And it's nice card. We did we didn't do prediction on Monday. We did a preview, though. Maybe someone in the chat could give Garth the name of the arena. All right. Couple of questions to get into. This one is a little bit lighthearted, and lighthearted is definitely needed because of some of the things that are being discussed. And shout out to Tristan Sloan also. I do remember last year when we were giving a lot of thoughts and prayers to your mom, and she pulled out of her issues, and she's still with you, which is awesome. I'm telling you, I'm close with my mom. I'm a mama's boy. I do not have any issue with it. I remember being around my friends and somebody would be called a mama's boy, and it was almost like you said like something 10 times worse. But I don't care. People say, even my wife says to me, she's like, you're such a mama's boy. I'm like, yeah, I love my mom. I don't know how much longer I'm going to have with her. I love my mom, of course. Mom's awesome, man. Shout out to you. All right, we got a fuck, marry, kill from Doge Dog. Oh, wait, it's not Doge. It's Dog 29J. Is that a license plate? That's a good license plate. Fuck, marry, kill. Electra Lopez, Alba Fire, Katana Chance. I don't like using the K word, kill, because that's kind of extreme. I mean, look, I'm not trying to be politically correct, but that's kind of like overdoing it. How's about fuck, marry, stand up? How's about that? Stand up. This way you get the tweet. Now, these are all very popular women. So whoever I choose, that woman will go on Twitter and say, that son of a bitch, that fat bastard de Blasio, he stood me up. Give him hell. Not wholesome. I just don't, you gotta be a little more careful with words, especially when you do shows like this. But, all right, is that okay? Fuck, marry, stand up? Or fuck, marry, ignore? Or fuck, marry, block? Fuck, marry, ban? Fuck, marry, shadow. I think shadow banning is a trillion times more fun than banning. Seriously. I don't do it much ever on YouTube. I've had to do it maybe like 5 times this year. But I fucking love shadow banning. You know why? Because I have 2 YouTube accounts. I have one for the shows, and I have one that me and my wife use, and we got the YouTube TV also. So what I do once in a while is I go into the other one and to see, like what someone is saying, and I'll remove all the shadow bans just to see like what, and a lot of people that are shadow banned, they don't even realize that nobody could see what they're writing. And there's like 3 certain people that I can honestly say for about 3 or 4 years, almost every week is writing awful stuff about me. And they don't realize that they're the only people that could see it. They're the only people that could see it. It's the funniest thing. I'm like, they don't realize that they're just writing so they could see it themselves. But so let's use that. Fuck, marry, shadow ban. I would definitely hook up with Elektra Lopez. No, you know what? I would hook up with Katana Chance. Nothing against Katana Chance. I absolutely would not marry her. I would not marry her because every time she would want to show me up, she just would have to like do something athletic. Seriously, I can't even pick up a piece of paper sometimes. You know, everything hurts. I dropped something on the floor the other day. Do I have it here? I don't think I have it here, but I now got those claw things. I got 4 of them. I got one in my kitchen, one in my bedroom, one in the living room, and I thought I had one in this room. You know, the claw where you pick something up, it's like 4 foot long, and you're just like, hey, fuck this. You know, the people with the garbage on the streets, they don't bend down and pick up the garbage. They pick it up with a claw and they drop it in a bag. I got 4 of them now. So every time like something happens in my house, Katana Chance would just show me up. Oh, the doorbell's ringing. And I'll be like, oh, I got to answer the door. Meanwhile, she's like, phew. She fucking answered the door. Before I could even get out of bed, she's like, answer the door, and she's back. It's like, it was UPS. I couldn't deal with that with Katana Chance. I would be like grocery shopping, and I'm like wheeling to the register. Meanwhile, she's already in the car with the trunk open. She's like, come on. It should be too energetic for me. Seriously. Like sometimes you want to unwind and listen to soft music. I could just pitch like, no, let's rave. No. You know what? The more I think about it, shadow ban Katana Chance. I know I'm spending way too much time on this, but let's shadow ban Katana Chance. Yeah, she's looking like a little hamster, you know? And I guarantee you someone out there is going to say, that's racist. She looks like a little hamster. Yeah, let's shadow ban Katana Chance. You know, for one night, I would hook up with Alba Fire. I would marry Elektra Lopez. I think Elektra Lopez, she looks like she would be a good mom and a good wife. And not saying any of these women are bad, but I don't know. Maybe because my wife is part Ecuadorian. So, all right. We have a Cody comment from Jimmy James. Jimmy James Funk. Thank you for the 10 spot. Cody's first 100 days have not been that great, and he's not doing it for me as WWE champion. Listen, you're not alone in that. I'm a little surprised as to how many people are not very enamored with Cody as the WWE champion. You know, they're still doing Dusty stuff. Randy Orton and Cody is actually going to have like a lot of old school Dusty in it in some ways. But listen, I've had this discussion with Kev a little bit about Cody Rhodes. We both feel the same way. What other option would there have been? You know, for those that still insist that The Rock was going to take on Roman Reigns, what if The Rock would have won? And then he would have retired the belt? He would have forfeited because he's got to leave to do an MMA movie and he got hurt anyway? Then you would have what, done a tournament? I mean, who else would have been champion? Right now, who would be champion? I think Cody Rhodes obviously was the best choice, especially with the 2-year story that was being built. A lot of little nuances. And the reason, listen, without getting to a whole thing, the reason why a lot of people these days don't understand why we're so, you know, strong behind Cody was finishing the story all along. Forget all the WrestleMania propaganda that was printed up months earlier, but there was so many little Dustyisms in things that Cody was doing, things that WWE was pushing, the way it was being presented. And this was including the time leading up to Mania, that 6-7 week span. But I also feel there would have been no other option. That SmackDown roster is not a strong roster. No disrespect intended to anybody who is a big-time WWE fan, SmackDown fan, or any stars on that SmackDown roster. You take away Cody, Randy Orton, LA Knight, and Kevin Owens, what do you got? Really? You know, I mean, there's some talented wrestlers there. But, you know, Solo Sikoa, I mean, my God, think about it. A few months earlier, there was no Tama Tonga. Tongaloa, sorry, I just can't get into Tongaloa. Tongaloa, to me, no. But no Jacob Fatu, no Tama Tonga. You look at that SmackDown roster and you say, okay, if it wasn't Cody, then who? And if you say Randy, if you say, LA Knight, you say Bobby Lashley, you say, still, like, you're going into SummerSlam with that? Does Roman Reigns was taking time off. This wouldn't have been a case where Roman's like, all right, I'll stick around until the fall. All right, I won't leave after all. No, this was planned for a very, very long time for Roman to leave and go away. So when he comes back another day, WrestleMania 41 looks massive. So blame it on WWE. Blame it on a very, very light SmackDown roster. If you look at Raw compared to SmackDown, I kind of feel like Raw is a stronger roster. And even Raw seems somewhat watered down. Makes you realize how important Roman Reigns was for that roster. Even Seth, to an extent. You take away Seth with the injury, and Gunther would have been injured, and Roman, that's three big fucking names. Obviously there's some other wrestlers that are really talented as well, but man, Football Talk is asking, who do I think dethrones Cody Rhodes? It's so early to tell. As of right now, I can't think of anybody. Let me say it like this. I think that there is a good chance Cody remains champion up until next year's draft. And then we may see somebody who's currently on Raw drafted to SmackDown and dethrones Cody Rhodes as the champion. I don't want it to be The Rock as of right now. You'd be surprised how many people think that The Rock could end up beating Cody Rhodes, and then end up dropping it and then leading to a feud with Roman for WrestleMania 41. That's a lot of twists and turns. I think it's still too early. I don't see Orton doing it. A lot of people think that John Cena is going to get one last championship reign before he retires December of 25. Could Cena possibly beat Cody? I know that sounds insane right now, but if I don't know, it's right now I can't think of anybody. Shit, it could be somebody that's not even on the roster right now. Could end up being a free agent. It could end up, I don't know, it could be somebody in NXT. I'm not thinking of anybody right now, but as of right now, I can't think of anybody. I really can't. That's the interesting thing about it. With Jimmy saying, like, who would you have put in his place? Would you have had 2 or 3 different people lose already? That's why when you think about the WWE draft, that WWE draft was designed for, you know what? I got one. If he stays on the path that he is, and he continues to because he's getting over with fans. As ridiculous as it sounds right now, I wonder if Jacob Fatu could ultimately beat Cody for that championship. Braun Breaker is on Raw. If Braun Breaker was on SmackDown, Braun's name would come up down the line. But I wonder if, I don't know, would they dare have Jacob Fatu win the belt and hand it over to Solo? Could this be an Andre the Giant, Ted DiBiase moment? Ted, I give you the WWF Championship. Could you imagine if Jacob Fatu won the belt, gave it to his tribal chief, and then obviously Nick Aldis would have to strip him and then do a tournament. Then you have Cody get it back. Just brainstorming, everybody. Brainstorming. Bernard has got a Booker F, Mary, Shadow Band. Wait. Oh, it's a Booker version of it. Marry, shadow ban, and screw. First of all, I have nothing against bisexuality or homosexuality, but I'm a heterosexual. So you're asking me to use Jim Cornette, Vince Russo, and Paul Heyman. If I went that route, if I liked my M&Ms with peanuts and I went that route, or if I was a female, I probably would. I can't. How am I going to answer that? I can't even, like, Paul, put it this way. You can't shadow ban Paul Heyman. I wouldn't marry Paul Heyman. You know, I mean, I just can't. Could you imagine? I wonder if Paul Heyman's wife, and I'm saying this with nothing but love, obviously. I wonder if Paul Heyman, like, before he does the nasty with his wife, do you ever think he goes into the room and goes, "Ladies and gentlemen," you know, you think, I wonder if he cuts promos, seriously. I don't know. I would shadow ban. You know what? I can't answer that. I can't. I mean, it's just, I can't. Like, I would shadow ban Russo and Jim Cornette. I like Vince Russo. I like all three, actually. You know, not all three. There's a lot of things I disagree with, but yeah, I can't. Yeah. Vince says I'm wilder now. Bernard, you made me feel very, very uncomfortable. Maybe if we come up with difference, how's about give a job, give no job, give a hand job. And I don't mean physically a hand job. I mean, give him like, no, I got it. Give him a job, give him no job, give him the screw job. Like, let them think they got the job, but they didn't get the job. How's that? Give him a job, give him no job, give him a screw job. I would give Paul Heyman the job. I would give no job to Jim Cornette. He doesn't like to fly. And I would give the screw job to Vince Russo. As much as I'm a fan of Vince Russo since the 90s, I still would give him the screw job. Just so he could say, bro, I thought I was a fan. You were a fan of mine, bro. What about all these decades, bro? All right. So we came up with a good one. Job, no job, screw job. All right. Umar. Hake. Umar. Thank you, by the way, for the 2 super shout outs, my friend. Actually, you know, I forgot. And we're in the summertime. We got some nice summer colors. DT, I'm posting this 30 minutes from SmackDown ending because it's clear to me that in order for AEW to stay on the island of relevancy, they have to throw pay-per-view style matches on free TV. I'm getting WCW vibes. Then he continues and says, my question is, why does Tony Khan insist that wrestling alone will get AEW back up in the ratings? Storylines, new characters, and fan investment is the key. Well, listen, I think this would be a good segue, and this will answer your question too. This will segue into little ratings news about AEW Dynamite. Could someone get me the overall rating this week for Dynamite? I have the quarters. I want to thank everybody who sent it to me. I think they did like 786. It was close to 800,000. Someone I'm sure will get me the number. But they did something this week. 795? 785. Thank you, DeMarcus. 785. I said 786. I knew it was right around that. So 785. Thank you. AEW did something this week that they definitely deserve some big credit. Mike Lee says 795, and so does Michael Gonzalez. Okay, we'll go with 795. All right. They did something this week that they deserve a lot of credit for. The MJF Will Ospreay match. I know Meltzer rated like 5.25 stars or something like that. It was not a 5-star match. It was fun. It kept me, I watched 90% of the match. It kept my interest. There were moments that I felt like it was going to a time limit draw because AEW has a habit of doing that. So if MJF winning it, I think obviously this is going to lead to, a title change down the line. I wouldn't say as soon as Wembley, but, it's going to be a title change down the line. But they went an hour. They went 4 quarters. I think that's a better way for me to put it. They went 4+ quarters. Everybody always talks about the Big Bang Theory lead-in. And this week, the Big Bang Theory lead-in was 871,000 viewers. Okay? Now, listen, I always say demos should not matter to you and me. Should only matter to the networks, the wrestlers, the promotions, and the advertisers. That's who the demos it should matter to, unless it's newsworthy. And something I want to share with you that might surprise you. The Big Bang lead-in going into Dynamite was 871. Now, you have heard me bring up numerous times over the last couple of months, and I'm probably the only person who's brought this up, that MJF opens up. Anytime MJF's on Dynamite, he opens up because that's usually the highest quarter of the night. So AEW does this deliberately so they could say MJF is the biggest draw of the night. And to me, that's asinine because, like I said, you look at any successful movie, the movie progresses and it leads to a peak at the end. Here, it's like a little child. It's like a little child that you're taking out for like a 5-course meal. Then the child shows up and says, I want cake. I want dessert now. Give me dessert now. Then you sit down yet. Take your coat off. You pain in the ass. I want cookies. I want cake. I want dessert now. I don't want dinner. I don't want salad. I don't want soup. I don't want I mean, as much as I like MJF, that is just moronic that they place him in the opening quarter every week because it's inflated for the Big Bang lead-in. I mean, that's like going bowling when I was a kid and I sucked so much early on. I ended up becoming a good bowler. I actually averaged like 190 in my latter years of bowling. In fact, I found some video of me bowling a couple of strikes. I got to share with you one day soon. But imagine me sucking as a bowler. Any of you bowled when you were in grammar school? And what would happen if you were on a league and you bowled shitty? You got a handicap. When I first bowled in grammar school, I sucked. So I got like a 25-pin handicap. So when we would face other teams, before the game even started, I had 25 pins. And I was like, look at this. I'm beating you 25-0, and I'd still lose. I thought I was hot shit that I went in and I'm 25 pins ahead. And meanwhile, I realized, I actually am not 25 pins ahead. The only reason why I'm ahead is because I had to get spotted because I suck. Now, does MJF suck? No. But that Big Bang lead-in quarter for AEW to think, we have to put him into quarters so he has the biggest rating in the night. Man, you insecure little fucking losers, goofs, behind the scenes. Whoever's coming up with that strategy, seriously, you just think about that in a meaning amongst millionaires and billionaires. So anyway, I'm actually leading to good news here. So the Big Bang lead-in did 871. The demo for that same quarter did 364. So now the second quarter dropped from 871 to 829. So now a lot of goofs online are like, they lost 42,000 viewers that did not want to watch MJF and Will Ospreay. Well, the demo actually went up from 364 to 372. Quarter 3, it only dropped to 369, and quarter 4, it dropped to 365. And then the fifth quarter that had the conclusion of the match, that demo was 388. What does that tell you? AEW had 4 consecutive quarters that were higher than the Big Bang lead-in. That's a big fucking deal. Now, it wasn't that much more, but what does that tell you? That tells you that a lot of Big Bang lead-ins are not 18 to 49, obviously, but what does that tell you? That tells you that the most important demo that all these fucking numbnuts online always focus about, the demo, number one in the demo. They did 4 straight quarters higher than the Big Bang lead-in. It's a big fucking deal. That is a big deal. Even if you did not like the MJF Will Ospreay match, it kept their viewers. For the entire match, it kept their viewers. After that small drop, their quarters were 829, 834, 834, 841. That is a win. That is a step in the right direction for AEW. Now, this week, they're doing blood and guts. And you know how long those matches take. So now the challenge this week is to see if AEW can maintain their audience for blood and guts. Now, obviously, blood and guts is not going to open up Dynamite. They can't. So this is going to be a little bit of a challenge this week for them to maintain their viewership. And with all due respect, this match is not the strongest lineup. You have the Elite, obviously, with Hangman Page, and they're taking on Team AEW of Mark Briscoe, Swerve, Darby Allin, and the Acclaimed. You know, it's not like the biggest draw, but so they deserve some props this week. They had a nice little increase, which is still not acceptable. If I'm AEW, I'm not satisfied with that. I'm not like all is great again. And they can't use that formula every week, obviously. But unfortunately, once the other moneymakers showed up, like Okada and the Young Bucks, they lost 70,000 viewers. It dropped down to 769. Then Mercedes Moné had the second lowest quarter of the night at 734. And then your world champion Swerve Strickland against Okada. Let that fucking sink in. Okada versus Swerve only did 701. What does that tell you? That tells you that this lineup is all disorganized. The people who should be leading to the main event should be main eventing instead of opening. And the ones who maybe shouldn't main event should be opening up like hour 2. It's just ass backwards. And I know what they're thinking. They think, oh, if we put Mercedes Moné the next to last quarter, we'll get that jolt back up. And then hopefully we could keep them with Swerve and Okada. Unfortunately. So they definitely did much better this week. Consistency is the key, obviously. Now, as far as pay-per-view matches go, Umar, there's a TV deal being negotiated right now. And the thing is, whether you put MJF as the opener or the close, because of the way everything else is formatted, you know, the ratings, we don't know how much better they would be. At this stage of the game, Warner Brothers Discovery knows if they're keeping them or not. Listen, I am not behind the scenes with these negotiations. Nobody online, no journalist has the info. As much as you think some of these elite media are getting the dirt, they ain't getting the fucking dirt. Tony Khan isn't that stupid. But Warner Brothers Discovery already knows if they're keeping AEW or not. Like I said, Tony Khan loses a lot of money to live his dream. You know, when people are like, oh, they made $150 million. Yeah, they probably spent $250. And he's still $10 billion, whatever it is. So if Warner Brothers Discovery says, look, we'll give you 50 mil, it's not going to be that low. But if they're like, look, we'll give you 100 mil or 50 mil, you think Tony Khan would be like, nah, it's not enough. I'm going to go to fucking Fight or Chiller TV or whatever the fuck it is. This guy has 2 title belts named after the networks. What happens if they leave Warner Brothers Discovery? What happens to the TNT Championship? Every interview he does, oh, we have a champion of the network. And the other champion, Adam Copeland, he got injured. He was the champion for the other network. He is so in bed. Let me put it this way. Tony Khan is pussy whipped with Warner Brothers Discovery. You ever hear about someone who was pussy whipped over someone? And when the woman knows that they got a guy wrapped around their finger like that, that woman holds all the fucking cards. That guy will do anything she says. Tony Khan is a cuckold for Warner Brothers Discovery. Whatever Warner Brothers Discovery offers him, listen, Tony, with the guy, I take it. So they're going to get the TV deal. Honestly, they're going to get the TV deal. So, of course, Tony Khan, it's perception and ego as well. Tony Khan doesn't want to be laughed at for taking a big cut or anything like that. And he's got to produce. Let's be honest. Okada, Mercedes Moné, Jay White, Adam Copeland, Will Ospreay, and you can't consistently draw 800,000 viewers? It's a big deal. It should get your attention. So they have to put on bigger matches to just try to maintain those numbers. Try to get some casuals. See, AEW is not going to change their formula to try to boost the numbers. They're hoping that they can use the formula that they have, but, if they position certain people the right way, or have 2 people face each other, then that'll generate. That's why you have Okada. Suddenly, he's not fighting Lee Moriarty. I'm just using not for you. You don't understand my point. Now Okada's fighting the big boys. MJF goes from fighting Roosh to now fighting Will Ospreay. So I don't blame AEW for having pay-per-view quality matches on free TV. They're negotiating a TV deal. But let me also say this, Umar. WWE does that too. When WWE was on the road to the TV deals, trying to work out Netflix, getting SmackDown on USA Network, if you go back and you look at those cards, it sure felt like WWE was up in their fucking game big time. And as soon as they landed that TV deal with USA Network to bring SmackDown there, I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say, man, it certainly feels like WWE doesn't give a shit the fact that they're on Fox anymore. Even with I don't want to say with the Rock's vulgarity, but yeah, when WWE was negotiating those TV deals, they upped their game. They clearly upped their quality game on TV. They were going balls out with a lot of chaos and, the big names out there. They were doing it. So if you put it this way, if you kind of look after WrestleMania came and went, it certainly feels like they pulled back a little bit extra, especially on the SmackDown side. So I don't really see any issue with it, Umar. I see AEW trying to convince Warner Brothers Discovery that it should be a no-brainer, that they should agree on a deal. I think the reason why there's a delay is more for, their product overseas, and Ring of Honor might be an issue. They might negotiate something with some specials. We might see, a lot of people keep saying Max, HBO Max or whatever it is. Maybe they're working out a deal where they air a couple of specials there. I think that's the holdup. I don't think the money is the issue anymore. I think they're negotiating some additional content for the other network over and above what they did this year, not just Battle of the Belts. I put it this way. I could be wrong, but I almost bet the ranch that when that TV deal is announced, you're going to hear that some additional programming is going to be coming that they're not doing now, and I would not be surprised if it's on Max 2. Not Max 2 channel, Max as well. We'll see. We will revisit that if I am right. Okay. Let's see. Triple X. Thank you for the 5, my friend. IDT Andre selling titles. Andre selling title $2 million man was a great storyline. When last have you seen a storyline relating to stripping away a championship not injury related? Oh, Andre the Giant selling the title to the $1 million man. He didn't, did he really sell it? I mean, did the $1 million man ever announce how much he was giving Andre? I don't remember. When was the last time somebody was stripped without being injury related? Wasn't Sasha Banks and Naomi champions when they walked out? Weren't they tag champs? That seems to come to mind. Who else was stripped of a title? Yeah, Michael Gonzalez says yes. They were stripped of the title. That might be the last time. I don't recall. Oh, Solo Sikoa on my honeymoon. I was there. I went to NXT on my honeymoon, and Solo Sikoa, who is now on SmackDown, made a surprise appearance in NXT and won the NXT North American Championship. Then he had to give it up because he was not on NXT anymore. So that one as well. So that's the last 2 times. Then you had wellness violations. RVD did not get stripped. RVD lost both titles, I think, one night or 2 nights in a row, something like that. Yeah, RVD, that him getting pulled over with Sabu that time was, that was bad. That was bad. Yeah, the Elite and CM Punk, great one. The Elite and CM Punk, they were stripped, and it was not injury related. That's a very good one. Didn't somebody get stripped of the 24/7 title? Was it that football? No, wait. Was that football player? Didn't he, the guy who was on the Patriots, you know what I'm talking about. The guy I got into a fight with his brother. Who's that guy that was on the Patriots that retired with Brady? Gronk. Yeah, I fought with Gronk's brother. Didn't Gronk get stripped? Oh, no. Maybe Gronk took that dive that time. Maybe I'm thinking about what I wanted to see happen, but it didn't happen. Gronkowski. I didn't physically fight his brother, by the way. We verbally had a big fight on the thing. I recorded the conversation, and I threatened to put it on my show, and he called me a dick. For those that don't know the whole story, Rob Gronkowski's brother owns a company that sells fitness equipment. And he sold a couple of things on Amazon and on eBay. And about 2 or 3 years ago, my father bought a $1,000 treadmill. It was more than just treadmill, but he bought like $1,000 or it was like a $1,500 treadmill from Rob Gronkowski's brother. And unfortunately, the dimensions that he put online were not the correct dimensions of the item. So when it got delivered, they couldn't bring it through the front door. And unfortunately, this item could not be taken apart so it could fit through the front door. So my father was going to refuse delivery. And Gronkowski's brother said, if you Google it, you'll find his fitness company. Gronkowski's brother said all sales are final. So my father was going to get stuck with this thing. So I contacted the company. Now, at this time, I did not know it was Gronk's brother. I did not know it was him. So I contacted the place, and I left a message, and I said, I'm calling on behalf of my father. I said, I'd like to speak to someone. I said, we have a problem here, and I'd like to get this resolved. So he ends up calling me back, And, he tells me who he is and everything. And I told him the deal. And he's like, look, he says, if we take it back, I got to charge you a 30% restocking fee. And I said, I'm not having my father get stuck for $500. I said, that's bullshit. I said, your dimensions weren't even close. I said, you couldn't take it apart. And he's like, look, nothing I could do. I'm like, no problem. I said, all right. I said, you know what? I'm going to send it back. I'll give you the $500. I don't want my father to know that he got fucked. I said, and this is bullshit. I said, in fact, you know what? I said, I do this podcast and I know it's not big or anything like that, but, I'm going to share with everyone my experience I had with you. And, maybe I can educate someone else that maybe they want to think twice about, dealing with you. So he's like, who the fuck do you think you are? And this and that. And I'm like, look, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I said, but you totally screwed up the dimensions. My father can't put it through the door. My father wants to keep the item, but they can't use it. And my father's in his mid-70s, and you're telling him that he's got to lose $500 because you fucked up on the description? I was like, that's bullshit. So he ends up, he's like, look, he's like, I don't want anything put online and this and that. And he's like, all right, I'll give you the full refund. Just, don't put anything. So I said, okay. He gave my father the refund. I swear I'll never do another show ever again. Call him up. And I said, my dad got his refund. I said, look, nothing personal. I said, but I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I said, my father, I know you don't want to hear sob stories, but my father had, triple bypass and, I didn't want to put him under any stress. And I really did not want to bring this online. And he's like, just fuck off, dick. And he hung up on me. And I recorded the whole thing, and I was going to play it on here, if you remember. But I was like, you know what? My father got his money back. That's all that matters. Fuck him. Fuck him. Now I don't care. So, Dog wants to know Samoa Joe's worst run. He says the Nation of Violence. For me, going back in the day, Samoa Joe's worst run is when he had the tribal penis on his face. Oh, we used to call it a tribal cock. If you never tune into old school DTKC, we used to have an intro, Donzilla and Kevin Castle, Don Tony and Kevin Castle versus Samoa Joe. I wish I had it here. I don't think I have it here. I wish I had it here. If I did, I would share it right now. I don't think I do. I'll look for like 2 seconds, but I'm almost sure I don't have it here. If I have it, oh my God, I do. Oh my God, I do. I don't know if this will play. If this plays, here, to me, this is Samoa Joe's worst run. I don't know if it'll play, but let's see. Let's try it.
Episode 3. Donzilla and the Iron Man Kevin Castle versus Samoa Joe.
I never got into this for recognition, because this is what I am.
Samoa Joe, bad gimmick, bad look, has to fine-tune himself to really be taken seriously as the world champion.
Pretty good. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of food.
So much food. Yeah. Everybody's there.
Samoa Joe being a fat, obese fuck.
This is what I trained to be.
I'm going to choke you out. By the way, you going to finish that?
Screw you.
Oh!
You're listening to the Don Tony and Kevin Castle Show every Monday night after Raw, only at wrestling-news.com. Are you part of the Donzilla Army? Well, are you?
All right. Was that Grease? No, we ain't playing that. Yeah. I can't believe I had that handy. Wow. To me, that was his worst run. Now, for everybody that's getting angry right now, this is Samoa Joe from TNA when he had the tribal penis on his face. That's when I put his stomach on the credit card. A lot of people don't know this. I got Capital One. Back in the day, you could send in pictures and they would put it on a credit card, and I sent them a picture of Samoa Joe's midsection. I tried to get it on a Visa card, and they turned it down. But I had that graphic online for years. Samoa Joe at the time, we thought Samoa Joe was awesome. But at that time, he had that goofy, like white, like shell thing, the necklace, the shells that he used to wear. And he was very, very rotund. And every time he would wrestle, you would see like red lines on his stomach because of all the creases. And he had more chins than a Chinese restaurant. So we used to make fun of him. I mean, I should talk. I mean, look at me. Come on. My favorite line out of all of that was, I'm going to choke you out. By the way, you got to finish that? So that's, to me, is Samoa Joe's worst run. So you got a little old school intro in the process. So, Rojo Bear, he says that Jinder Mahal's 90 days are up. Which promotion do I think he'll end up in? I kind of see him going to TNA. Absolutely. I think Jinder Mahal will end up in TNA. Not necessarily like getting involved with Mustafa Ali. You don't have to have Indians get involved with Indians or Italians. You don't have to have the same nationality or religion. You know what I mean? I don't think necessarily there, but I think Jinder Mahal as a bona fide heavyweight talent, I think he would do great in TNA. I don't think he would do good in AEW. AEW is not, characters are not priority in AEW. It's wrestling matches and quality of matches first and foremost. And then obviously characters are down the list. Jinder Mahal, his in-ring repertoire is more designed for character that could also do it in the ring. Not someone who could do it in the ring like no other that happens to have a good character. You know what I mean? So I think Jinder Mahal would be great in TNA. I think that's where he would end up, in my honest opinion. Dream 101, have I ever seen a wrestler in public unexpected? Yeah, I mean, the last time, well, believe it or not, I actually brought this up to a few friends, and you could Google it. This is pretty funny. About 2 years ago, I went to my office, all right? I'm not open on the weekends unless customer needs me there. So I think it was a Saturday. And I went to my office, and I was going to go pick up some paperwork, and there were no spots in the parking lot where I'm at. And I was waiting for a couple of minutes, and nobody pulled out of their spots. So I ended up leaving. Right next to my office is a comic book store. And I noticed a bunch of people standing in front of the comic book store. Now, this is in the 90s, and you don't see many people frequent comic book stores anymore. So I didn't think anything of it at the time, but there were quite a few people there. Again, if you think I'm lying, Google it, you'll see it. I find out a couple of days later that Max Caster was doing an appearance there, and he was literally right next to my office. If I would have walked upstairs into my office, literally a foot away from me would have been Max Caster. That's the most recent one. The last time a wrestler was in my neighborhood that I can remember was Sabu. Sabu, FTW, was a wrestling promotion in Long Island. I think they're now based mostly in Florida. FTW, I had done some work for also, and I had my insurance office, which I still have. And I used to have this big folding table that I used to do defensive driver's classes with. So one time, I think Jay Lover was in my office, and he saw the folding table. Didn't think anything of it. But anyway, FTW was going to do a wrestling event in Long Island several years ago. And they went to Home Depot to buy a folding table so Sabu could put himself through it. And they were sold out. The only tables they had were the real thick ones. And as Sabu gets older, the more he's going to be like, I ain't fucking going through that. So I guess Jay Lover told these guys, they're like, hey, de Blasio's got a table in his office. That would be perfect. So they literally called me up and they like, you still got that folding table? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you want to get rid of it? I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Like, are you in your office now? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, we'll be there in 20 minutes. I said, okay. So 20 minutes later, they called me up. I go downstairs and Sabu was sitting in the car. And they picked up Sabu and they were going to take him to Long Island, but they came with a van also and they picked up the table and they went. So I will say this too. There was a Spanish restaurant located down the block from me that just closed up when my wife had a shower. And a bunch of WWE guys went there about maybe a year ago. And a couple of people that worked there I was friends with, they called me up and like, why don't you stop by? And I'm like, he's like, I got stuff to do. Trust me, nobody that was there from the WWE knew I was going there. But my friend was looking out for me. He's like, why don't you come by, hang out, And that was the only other time. But my neighborhood, like, why would anybody be there? You know what I mean? But Max Caster literally was right next door 2 years ago. And again, you could look it online and you'll actually see it there. So, all right. Bobby Means is asking, do I think there's a chance somewhere down the road Netflix possibly gets Friday Night SmackDown? Anything is possible. But, you understand Netflix is raising their prices. You may remember about 2 months ago, I told you they were raising their prices. I also told you Peacock was raising their prices. Now's the time. Peacock is raising it $2. Netflix is the bigger deal. For those that missed my report a couple of months ago, because we were way ahead of the pulse on this one, Netflix has like a $6 plan right now or an $8 plan where I think it's no ads. And now you either have to pay $2 more and get ads or pay $15 a month. It's a crazy amount. And there's some fear that millions of people may disconnect their Netflix because of it. Netflix is raising their prices because they're inking some big money deals. There's only so many times you can raise your prices. And one thing you all are going to realize, you don't hear it in the wrestling world. Nothing personal against WrestleNomics, but obviously they are more about ratings and the numbers that they like to play with AEW and WWE with tickets and this and that. If you and I were that bored, or if we could make money, we could spend the computer and get, this is all public information for the most part. Let me put it that way. But what I'm about to tell you, nobody really has brought up. In 5 years, almost everybody is going to be streaming media. Not only that, ads. You're not going to be able to escape them. Amazon is a great example, and learn by what's going on with Amazon right now. Amazon has learned that they make more money on someone who uses Amazon with ads than somebody who doesn't. Peacock makes more money off of someone who pays the lower amount with ads than ad-free. So you could be ad-free and pay $10 a month, or pay $5 a month and get ads. And some of these streaming platforms make more money with you paying less a month but having ads. Ads are big, big fucking money. And Peacock, Amazon, Netflix, and all of them, they're realizing pretty quickly that ad revenue is more available than ad-free. And what you are seeing very, very, I don't want to say slowly, but very, very strategically, is they're trying to get everybody to get some type of a plan with ads. They'd rather you get a deal with ads than an ad-free deal. That's the facts. So when WWE goes to Netflix, You remember when people were like, oh, it's going to be Ed Fried and what are they going to do during matches? And I said, no, they are absolutely going to have commercials. Netflix is going to make a fucking killing on commercials for WWE Raw. So when you realize as time goes by, you're going to say to yourself, wow, I feel like I'm getting pushed to buy a subscription with ads. I don't want to see commercials. Well, if you grew up like me back when we were kids, when it was just CBS, NBC, ABC, and some local programming, you couldn't escape ads. There was no ad-free TV. Everything was commercials. The future with the streaming TV is commercials. So as far as WWE moving SmackDown to Netflix, if that happens, number one, you're going to be paying more money, and there's going to be loads and loads of ads coming with it as well. It absolutely could happen. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but it absolutely could happen. So Mark is saying what I'm saying is facts. Like I said, a lot of the information you read on these financial wrestling sites is public information. They work hard. I want to make it clear, like WrestleNomics and others, they work hard at putting information up there. They don't just copy and paste. Again, if you want to do the research, you could do it yourself too. But of course, we don't want to do that kind of work. But trust me when I tell you, ads is going to be that word, get used to it, because that is going to be a word that you're not going to escape. WWE premium live events are going to be having more ads than before. A couple of years from now, you'll remember what I said. You're going to see many more commercials during WWE premium live events in the future. Mark my words. Dreamers Lane says that Jinder Mahal debuted at GCW tonight. That's cool. That's cool. He should do the indies to get his feet wet again and to get back in the swing of things. But as far as a major promotion, I think TNA is a perfect destination for Jinder Mahal. Think so. Dreamers Lane, I am going to be watching a bulk of Slammiversary. What matches am I looking forward to? I'm curious to see if Joe Hendry, if they go ahead and dare put the championship on him. It would be pretty interesting to see Joe Hendry show up on NXT with the TNA World Championship. Only because Ethan Page is the champion right now. I would not have wanted that to happen if Trick Williams was still the champion, but I'm wondering if Joe Hendry could pull it off. I'm kind of into the storyline with PCO right now and Steph Delander. PCO kind of fascinates me a little bit. Speedball Mike Bailey versus Mustafa Ali. And I don't have the card in front of me. I'm just giving you the matches that I want to see. Believe it or not, since we're talking about TNA, do you know yesterday was, I don't know if it's 13 years, but yesterday was the anniversary of Chris Sabin beating Bully Ray to become TNA World Champion. And if anybody is a longtime listener of the DTKC show, and I'm sorry, look, Chris Sabin is definitely, earned his legend. He's had a legendary career. Not, great. Would I put him Hall of Famer? No, but many years ago when he won the World Championship, we just could not get into it. And I have the audio. I got to put it up. I got to find the date. He did a press conference, and I'll never forget it. He did a press conference, and it was supposed to be all reporters there and everything. And he got on the podium, and he wasn't the only speaker that night, but he got on the podium when it was his time. And he was talking about how he overcame, I think, like a back injury. And, people were telling him he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that, but he kept working hard. And he got to and this is what I have to show for it. And there was no reaction at all. You could hear this awkward pause in Chris Sabin's voice. He honestly thought he was going to get like a little bit of an ovation from the people who were there because he overcame the odds. He became world champion first ever time. And there was no reaction at all. And when I played it live on the show, me and Kevin couldn't stop laughing. We almost peed on our pants. I mean, nothing personal against Chris Sabin, but that's an epic moment that has stuck with us since then. And yeah, yesterday was the anniversary of it. So, all right. We're at 2 hours and 4 minutes. So we're going to start bringing this home. I think we'll wrap it up in about 10 minutes. Remember, Monday, Kevin and I will be back for the DTKC show. We definitely have quite a bit to get into. And we'll be one step closer to SummerSlam. And we'll see what progresses. I will tell you, just to repeat something that I said earlier this week, and I had a few more days to think about. I thought Damian Priest Monday probably had his best Raw since winning the belt at Mania. Everything felt like it flowed, and Damian Priest took a big step forward. And as of right now, I still think there is a good chance Damian Priest could walk out of SummerSlam still the world heavyweight champion. Gunther might get disqualified, but I think there's a good chance. So we're not doing predictions yet, but that's how I feel right now. DeMarcus, shout out to you, brother. Thank you for the 5 spot. Who do I think will be the next to jump to the WWE from AEW? WWE's made it very clear if you jump, it's their every intention to make you a star. You know what's funny? We got Mark Henry's biography on A&E this weekend. And we saw the commercial during SmackDown tonight, and there's been rumblings that Mark Henry is pretty much done with AEW. I think he's even revealed it. I think Mark Henry is on his way back to the WWE. Would he wrestle? I don't know. I doubt it. I could see him. I'd love to see him manage Trick Williams. I'd love to see him manage somebody. And the person doesn't have to be black. It's not a black or a white thing with me, but I'm just saying, for some reason, sometimes you say certain people and like MVP he'd be perfect for this. And every person they mention are black. You want to hear a statistic that blew my mind? I don't have it in front of me. Somebody by the name of Aaron, who's one of our longtime patrons. Some people get a little triggered with his Pokemon stuff and everything because I never paid attention to Pokemon in my lifetime. He made a claim this week that I have not checked my information yet, but I will say he is usually fucking spot on with numbers. He is addicted to cage match ratings, and he does crazy research with numbers. What I'm about to tell you is going to probably surprise a shitload of you. In fact, I got to Google it before I say it, because if I tell it to you and I'm wrong, I'm going to look pretty stupid. So I got to double check this. And trust me when I tell you, okay, all right, I found it. Okay. Yeah, he's actually right. Even though nobody had a 1-year run, what if I told you that the top 5 longest reigns for the NXT North American Championship, the 5 longest reigns are all held by someone of color, somebody who's black? Listen, again, for me, it's not about black or white. People earn what they get. Props to them. I don't care what what you look like or anything like that. But he made that remark the other day, and I was like, really? And I looked it up now, but I kind of take his word for it. But for everyone out there, I thought that was pretty fucking wild to think about. And he's right. The longest reigning NXT North American champion in history was Wes Lee with a 269-day reign. Second, with 200, actually, we don't even have to use combined reigns. We could just go with one. Second is Velveteen Dream with 209, even though it was really 231. Third, right now, is Obafemi with 185. Fourth on the list is Keith Lee with 181. And Carmelo Hayes is fifth on the list with 171. That's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting to look at. I just figured I'd share it. That's a little statistic that I think some people out there would actually find pretty interesting. So, Dream 101 is asking me, where is Omos right now? Well, if he's on the Northeast or in the South, it's either 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. He's probably in his hotel room. He's tired. Probably got to get up in the morning and do some WWE stuff. I don't know where Omos is right now. Actually, that's a stupid thing I used to do in the 90s. Whenever we would do a show late at night, somebody would say to me, like, where's Booker T? And I would be like, he's in his hotel room sleeping. Somebody would say, like, where's Johnny Gargano? He's home with his family. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Where do you think he is? So, no, Omos, believe it or not, has been doing some promotional work with the WWE. They just don't have anything for him on TV right now. A lot of people want to see Omos back. Could they? Nah. Would you have Omos feud with Cody Rhodes? I wouldn't want. I don't think I would want that. Like, how do you bring Omos back? Do you put him in NXT for a little while? I don't know. But no, Omos right now, they just don't have anything for him in the ring. Yeah, I think he just launched a YouTube channel. And I think his first video, he was like reviewing men's cologne, which is interesting. And listen, Omos, from what I hear, I don't know him. I've never met him. What I hear from people that are friends with him say he is just one of the nicest, most genuine people in wrestling. And look, I heard, and I'm sure you have read it as well, and heard people too, that Undertaker has sung the good graces of Omos more than you would imagine. Like, Undertaker is like really rooting for this guy to make it. And listen, Brock Lesnar wanted to work with him. That says something. By the way, Brock Lesnar will be back soon. Brock Lesnar will be back soon. Don't know exactly when, but he will be back soon. Maybe Brock Lesnar could be Cody Rhodes. And I'm not kidding when I say that. Maybe Brock Lesnar could end up beating Cody Rhodes. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but it could. It could. All right. As far as that question, as far as who would be the next to jump to AEW, I know it was asked before. I wasn't trying to ignore that question. That was from Triple X. Oh, DeMarcus had asked that. Let me just continue from there. I think Malachi Black or Buddy Matthews, I think one of those two could be next. I always felt that Malachi Black would be gone. When certain people within that company leaked out to some of the elite media about his, emotional issues, that really pissed him the fuck off. I have nothing against Malachi Black. I still think his feud with Cody Rhodes was fucking tremendous. Loved it. But I get the same worries as I got with Andrade right now. I don't know if Malachi Black fits in where he could be by himself and become a upper card star in the WWE again. He's got all the tools. He is great on the microphone, but I still remember the promos that he was in a dark hotel room. Fight me. I know it's not his fault. It was creative, but it looks so stupid. He's in a hotel room with a dark room. He's like, fight me. And I'm like, you want to fight someone, motherfucker? Then leave. Go to the arena. I just don't know if WWE could do what they want. Now, it would have been great if they could have put him in a Wyatt 6. That would have been fucking great. I would have seriously considered putting him in a Wyatt 6. But I don't know. I don't know. But I have a feeling him or Buddy Matthews. The only reason why I say Buddy Matthews is because I just don't see AEW utilizing him as a solo single star. Brody King does well. Brody King does well with Malachi Black, but Buddy Matthews, I don't think AEW really cares about the House of Black as far as a trios team and going forward. It just does, like just when you think they're going to get a push, nothing happens. We've been saying that for years. So I think the next step is going to be one of those two members of the House of Black. Sure, lesser names might just have their contracts expire. But as far as somebody who might be let out of their contract sooner than expected, I think it's one of those two guys. Triple X with the idea of Omos and Baron Corbin teaming up as a dominant tag team. I don't know, man. I think Baron Corbin, it's crazy. They did good with him and Braun Breaker. I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed them as a tag team. But then I see him with Apollo Crews, and I'm like, what is this? Like, now I think like Baron Corbin's going to turn on Apollo Crews, and we're going to be right back where we started with Baron Corbin. I don't see Baron Corbin as a babyface. And the worst part is I don't see any heels on SmackDown that he could feud with other than maybe a Grayson Waller. Outside of that, what do you do with Baron Corbin? It's one thing to have the characters. It's another to have opponents for them. That's why when I say with the Wyatt Six, again, nobody's going to root for them more than me, other than themselves. But like, I try to picture like, all right, once they get over with Chad Gable and the Creed brothers, what's next? And I kind of feel like New Day. Really? It's like, all right, I don't see any bigger names. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but that's the vibe I get from it. And I definitely don't feel a vibe with Omos and Baron Corbin. I just don't feel the vibe. Like, I don't know if there's any chemistry there either. Plus, MVP is still the manager for Omos. And I don't see the interaction with Baron Corbin. And it's not a black or a white thing. Baron Corbin probably is better as the lone wolf, but I don't see Baron Corbin fitting in. I think he could be on the cutting block. Listen, this is not Vince McMahon's WWE anymore. Baron Corbin escaped a lot of cuts, surprised a lot of people over the years. This is Endeavor, TKO Group Holdings. This is Endeavor now. And I think a lot of people are expendable. And I think Baron Corbin is one of them. So, all right. We're just about done. Near says he should have remained in NXT. He could have, but it's like it felt like his ceiling was met over there. He reached the ceiling. And I don't know how it would have been perceived that Braun Breaker gets promoted and he doesn't. It kind of felt like both needed to. But now it's like, what do you do now? You can't bring him back again. Now it looks bad. When they brought him to NXT first, believe it or not, the fans actually warmed up to him pretty quickly because they felt like Baron Corbin was really trying to put some effort into this to try to find whatever's been lost. And Baron Corbin did a decent job. It felt like he was being sent there to season, maybe try to refine, what worked before. If he gets there again, now it feels demotion. Now it's totally different vibe. And I don't think it's more of just welcome back. NXT fans will do that, but the overall perception would not be good for Baron Corbin. I don't think NXT should be his future again. I think it's make it to the main roster or, you're gone. Benjamin is saying, like modern day goofs, was the angry wrestling fan tirade over Batista winning the Rumble over Daniel Bryan staged? No. That's what sparked and inspires things now. Listen, I'm not going to go there and piss anybody off tonight, but I invite you to once again watch SmackDown tonight. Watch every time WWE airs the commercial for WrestleMania 40's documentary. Have you ever asked yourself, how come they keep airing a commercial that all they keep saying is they're working, everybody? They're working. When we could keep fooling them, like everybody keeps saying, oh, The Rock is full of shit. The Rock is full of shit. That's what sparked all those memes. The Rock did this. The Rock said this. The Rock said this. Well, if The Rock is such a bullshit artist, then why does everybody think that The Rock was so honest about doing this? The whole thing is cinema. That's how I look at it. But I'll say this. You look at Batista and Daniel Bryan. This was a case where the fans got so upset with the fact that Daniel Bryan was organically becoming the guy, and it truly felt like WWE was saying to the WWE Universe, fuck you, we know better. Trust us, we know better. And I think they were fed up at that time. And they started balking, and WWE realized it, and WWE played into it. People need to remember the Yes Movement did not happen overnight. It didn't happen in 72 hours, just like the hashtag We Want Cody. This happened over time. And as time went on, WWE realized, okay, maybe we're making a mistake here. And they went ahead and they played into it, and the Yes Movement was organic. The Yes Movement was real. And that inspired, WWE to change their mind. WWE has learned a lot since then. And WWE, their number one priority, and again, I've said this countless times, one of the biggest difference with AEW and WWE is when you hear AEW giving props, they give props to Tony Khan first. Then it's everybody else. When it comes to WWE, the WWE Universe is first on the list. WWE wants the fans to believe that they have influence, that they have a seat at the table. That's what this whole documentary was about. Not just building the final boss, not just strengthening Cody's win. It's also to make the WWE Universe subconsciously feel like, wow, we do have a voice. We did change plans. Wow, they are listening to us. That's what this is all about. So WWE with Daniel Bryan, it was organic, and they learned by it. And Triple H was right smack in the middle of that back then, and he's right smack in the middle of it now. And if you look at some of our DTKC episodes leading into WrestleMania 40, you will see that we compared We Want Cody to the Yes Movement. We predicted We Want Cody the week before it happened. So to me, it was a different version of the Yes Movement, just obviously sped up rapidly. So my thoughts on the Edge lead a live sex celebration, Tristan. It was bizarre. It was a little uncomfortable. It was just bizarre and uncomfortable. Listen, I'm an adult. I've seen adult movies. I've seen, in wrestling, girls in, bikinis and, having cat fights. I've seen, almost everything. That just felt like when it was advertised, we expected a major swerve. What we thought was going to happen is before anything is even teased, somebody's going to go out there and beat the shit out of Edge and totally screw everything up. I didn't think it would go as far as it did. It was bizarre. It was bizarre. Funny thing is, what year? Could someone check the year that happened? I'm just curious if it's a year that Kevin and I were doing shows. Because if it is it like 03, 04? 2006. Oh, we definitely did. Yeah. Shit. We did. I have the whole year for 2006. That's an episode I have to pull this weekend. That is an episode I'm going to make available for everybody online. Next week, I will repost the episode of Kev covering the live sex celebration from that night as it went down. Now, I don't remember at all what I said that night. Looking back on it, I'm pretty confident I felt very uncomfortable, that it just felt like it didn't belong. It'll be pretty wild if I listen to it back and be like, yeah, man, he should have got laid. I don't think you're going to hear that. So Near says 2007. Hey, whether it's 06 or it's 07, I have it. So I'll repost that. That's one I'm very curious to see our reaction. And just think, we're only like a couple of years away from the 20th anniversary of that. That's freaking bizarre. All right. Roderick is asking, how much did Finn Balor's injury derail his WWE run? He had a ton of momentum at the time. Never felt like he fully regained it despite having a solid run. Well, if this was when he was the first ever Universal Champion, it was a lot of unknown. There was a lot of unknown. Finn Balor had a lot of momentum at the time. Finn Balor with a Universal Championship, we didn't know where that title was going to go. It's similar to the Seth Rollins Championship from last year. A lot of people felt that Seth Rollins' title was created because Roman had a stranglehold on the belt. I don't think anybody looks at that anymore. I think the World Heavyweight Championship belongs on Raw. Finn Balor with the Universal Championship. Finn Balor had momentum, but it didn't feel like WWE was putting the sales behind him. What I remember that night, or what I remember leading up to it, was, wow, that belt is very red. Does anybody remember when they first revealed the championship? People were like, oh my God, it looks like a tampon. That's how wacky people looked at that belt that day. I remember that title. Listen, if I pull up the episode that we covered that night when they revealed that belt, I remember everybody saying, oh my God, it's fucking, how red is that? I remember people really complaining about the color of it. Finn Balor was obviously had good momentum at the time. I don't think WWE looked at him as a bona fide main eventer yet. I think the Universal Championship was a step down, but there was also a lot of unknown. Nobody knew how far WWE was going to bring that title. And look, if you notice, they don't mention Universal anymore. If you look at Cody's belt, it is now the undisputed WWE Championship. Universal is not mentioned anymore. So, yes, DeMarcus, I did see the movie No Holds Barred when it first came out. We loved it, man. We loved it. I was into it. Zeus, we freaking were into Zeus. You got to remember, this is mid-'80s. Totally different life at that time. Nobody was smart to stuff, and we had no social media. There was no internet. We were still, teens. So we were into it. It was cool. Let me put it this way. As goofy as the movie is now, in the 80s, not really the 70s, because the 70s you had some wrestlers. You had the movie The Wrestler. If I remember Paradise Alley, I think Terry Funk was in that. You had some wrestler cameos here and there, but to see some of your favorite wrestlers having big roles in movies was cool. It was cool. In Rocky 3, we were not really privy to Hogan at the time. Hogan was around in 79 in the WWF as a heel. But when Hulk was doing the Hulkamania, we did not get the AWA in New York. So we only saw it in magazines. So to see some of our favorites appearing in movies, shit, I got one for you. If anybody that is in their 50s, 40s, or above, what I'm about to say, it'll bring back memories, and I guarantee you every single person tuning in right now will agree. Not just No Holds Barred. I think for a lot of people, the two biggest things at the time for wrestlers appearing in things, here in the Northeast, everybody made it a fucking gigantic, a big deal that Captain Lou Albano was in the music video, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Every wrestling fan that I knew went crazy. And then the Goonies, with that music video Good Enough or what it was, and you got the Iron Sheik, you got Nikolai Volkov milking a fucking statue on the back of a truck, Roddy Piper, sewer rats. That was insane. That was tremendous. To see our favorites, then they show up in the A-Team and they show up. It was a big deal. Trust you and I tell you, I know it's hard to believe now, but back in the middle 80s, when you had even some of these bad movies, nobody was like, that's fucking awful. Oh my God, that's terrible. No, it's ridiculous. That's awful. Nobody was doing that. It was cool to see some of our wrestlers that we watched getting spots in movies. That was a big deal. Yeah, Terry Funk Roadhouse. That's right. I do remember. But yeah, Terry Funk wasn't he in Over the Top too? Wait, which was the arm wrestling one with Sly? I think Terry Funk was in that too. I don't know. It's late. When it gets late at night now, that's when my Prevagen's no longer working. And then the tapes start mixing in with each other. Shit, we thought it was a cool. Here's an old school one. When King Kong Bundy used to be in computer commercials, I think for IBM, in the 80s, before any of us had computers, King Kong Bundy was doing computers for I think IBM commercials. And that was pretty fucking surreal to see King Kong Bundy in commercials like that. Over the Top, yes, Tribal Queen, you are correct. So it was cool. Listen, when I did WrestleVision back in the 2000s, and if anybody goes on Wayback Machine, you could see some examples for it. Shit, if you do a Google search, you probably could still find archives of it. You know, one of the hardest things that I worked on for wrestling-news.com back in the early 2000s, every week I did a segment called WrestleVision. It was so popular that Meltzer would post it on his website, on The Observer. Georgie M would post it. Everybody would post it. My WrestleVision, what I did was I researched every hour of cable television. And any time a wrestler appeared on a TV show, a movie, documentary, anything that featured a wrestler, I would post like a TV guide. And I think next week I'll grab a screenshot of one that I did and I'll share it with all of you. And the reason why I think you'll get a kick out of it is not just because of the amount of work that I put into it, but it's pretty wild 20 years ago to see how much TV had wrestlers in it. I'm telling you, like a list like this, every week. I mean, some of the appearances were not like big roles, but I used to do that weekly, put up like a TV guide of every appearance by every wrestler. And it was very, very popular. The reason why I stopped was because it just was too much work after a while. But that was fun. Near, I have no idea the thoughts behind creating the European Championship at the time. I think they just wanted a mid-card title that had an international influence with it. WWF was mostly regional, United States. They went to Canada and they would go overseas once in a while, but I don't know the thought process behind the European Championship. I'll tell you this much, though. You know who would be a good person to ask about that? Bruce Pritchard. He does his podcast with Conrad. You know, I would definitely drop it to him, say, listen, what was the thought process behind creating European Championship? I don't think it's going to be a deep question either. Listen, when I think European Championship, I think of D'Lo Brown. Like sometimes some people go on social media and say, all right, who does this make you think of? And you're like, oh, Austin. Oh, this person. Oh, Bret Hart. Oh. I think of European Championship, I think of D'Lo Brown. So Triple X with the 2 spot. He says, Roddy Piper nailed it and They Live, and Andre with the Princess Bride. I thought Andre was so good in the Princess Bride. You know, it was so sad, you know, to realize that Andre was at the end of pretty close to his life. But I will tell you this, and I could say this clearly. I've been a wrestling fan since 79. I have watched almost every appearance that every wrestler has had in a movie. Even with the WrestleVision stuff, I would find things and I'd be like, holy shit, I never saw that before. I mean, and we would put it up. I will tell you, and it's not even close, my favorite wrestler in a movie ever is Roddy Piper and They Live. I have the VHS, I have the DVD, I have the Blu-ray, I have the special edition, the director's cut with him and the director, John Carpenter, talking about the movie. I used to have a big poster behind me for They Live. I always wanted to get, you know, like the props from the movie. That movie by far is my favorite movie that a wrestler has ever appeared in. And it's not even close. It's not even close. When that movie came out, I think it was in 88, me and my friends went and I was hooked on it. I mean, I was a big fan of John Carpenter. Escape from New York is my favorite John Carpenter movie of all time. I mean, he's done The Thing. He's done a lot of movies, but They Live was just tremendous. And you know why it was so good? It wasn't just Roddy Piper's acting, but, you know, if you look at politics today, and this is not a political rant here, but if you look at politics today, you know, there's a lot of, I don't want to say brainwashing, but there's a lot today that you could compare to then. You know, the way that they push an agenda, like you're supposed to go in line and do this and fall in line and do this and do this and do this. And the glasses were not to reveal aliens. The glasses were like, wake up, look around you, look at what's going on. And you remember the ending of the movie They Live when Roddy Piper and the other guy was with that rich guy, remember the Texan? Come on, just enjoy yourself. There's a little bit for everyone. It was just like, come on, just enjoy yourself. Don't fuck it up. Everybody's getting a little something here. I'm telling you, politics today, that movie was so far ahead of its time, man. I'm shocked that you don't hear, like, I don't want to say schools, but I'm surprised you don't hear like political classes or classes about government and politics or political science, that they don't reference that movie and analyze it and show what that message was and how relevant it is today. It's kind of crazy. If I would have ever been like a political science teacher, that movie would have been seen. I absolutely would have streamed that movie to everybody. That movie was fucking tremendous, man. And it still holds water. Some movies do not age all that well. That movie holds its own, man. That movie's a good movie, man. If you've never seen the movie, see it. I promise you, you will enjoy it. I will tell you this. The first 10, 15 minutes of the movie is kind of boring because it's Roddy Piper, kind of homeless, trying to find some work. And he's basically in like a ghetto area where it's kind of like, like tents and stuff. So the first 10, 15 minutes is basically just Roddy Piper just trying to find work. You watch those first 15 minutes and then he starts getting a little curious, looking around and seeing things that don't seem a little bit off. It fucking picks up like this. I promise you. Listen, when I first saw that movie, the first 10, 15 minutes, I probably was yawning. Once you get past that point, if anybody's ever seen a movie, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if it was the church or whatever. Once they get past that moment, everything just kicks in. You're like, wow. It's that good. All right, guys. Roddy Piper, he likes to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and he's all out of bubble gum. I love doing these shows, but I'm all out of time. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. I'm not going to lie to you. Coming into tonight, I was like, how can I get this done in an hour or get, a little bit done early? But this is what happens when we have fun conversation. We forget track of time. And, I definitely love talking with all of you tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. And I know we don't put synopsises up for Fridays, but that's done by design because we have such great conversation here. And, if people miss out on it, hey, it's on them. But remember, most important, every single one of you, and this is not to put those who are live above everybody in the archive, but, for everybody who really enjoys these shows on Fridays, remember, those who tune in live are the ones who are setting the stage of everything that we talk about. SmackDown and SummerSlam are probably the only two things that were planned to be discussed before we went live. And guess what? Somebody live would have said, what do you think about SmackDown tonight? What did you think about LA Knight and Logan Paul? What do you think about Cody and Solo? So those would have been brought up anyway. But, these shows on Fridays, everybody who tunes in live are the ones who set up what we talk about. And it's fun. It's fun. It's fun to be able to go into the show with just SmackDown notes and nothing else, no research, no nothing. And, and you know what? When you can bring up all these things without having to look it up, it's a wonderful thing. Not because you save time or being lazy. It's when you really enjoy what you're watching, you don't have to take notes. It sinks in. It absorbs everything that we talked about tonight, even stuff from yesteryear. If you really enjoyed it, it stays with you. And it's not that hard. Sometimes you might get a date wrong once in a while, but, if you really were into stuff, you could tell who was truly there and into it and those who are just, like researching to try to sound, like they're knowledgeable. There's a big difference here. And there's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day. It's those who act like they know, but they don't. Those are the ones you got to look out for. So Triple X says they live is of reality, propaganda and brainwashing. It is. It is. Listen, I would love to talk more politics here, but I get it. There's a majority of you out there that don't like it. And I don't want to start opening that up. Listen, back in the day, I lost a lot of people tuning in because they hated the Trump conversations, but you see the political landscape today, it's terrible, man. It's terrible. There's so much that I dislike about it. I don't want our country to go in a shitter, but at the same time though, like you see things and it's like, man, why do I want to get down? You know what I mean? I'd rather just focus on other things that, make me happy and make me, just look forward to doing. And that's what we do here, so I don't want anyone to get sick. I don't want anybody to get hurt physically, but you see what's going on both sides. It's terrible. And the worst part about it is it's all about power. It's all about power on both sides. It's not necessarily what's better for the country. It's about power. If you even look with the Biden stuff, I have nothing against Joe Biden. Nothing against him. I truly believe that he truly wants what's best for this country. And then you see what's going on where some people want him out of office. And it's not about vision. It's about who could be Trump. That's a big difference. You know what I mean? There's a big difference about beating your opponent and doing what's best for the country. I'm not saying that Trump is better or Biden is better. I'm just saying when you look at it very closely, it's not about what's best for the country. It's about which side could have power. That's what it's about at the end of the day. How could we keep power? How do we do that? And unfortunately, there's a lot of lying. There's a lot of promises that don't go through. So thank you, DeMarcus, closing it out. He says, we're ready for another Sunday Ask Us Anything. Yeah, Kevin and I are going to be doing another Q&A, Ask Us Anything very, very soon. The last one we did in June. And we want to do one a month, but we also want to do it when there's enough to talk about. I'm going to be talking to Kev over the weekend, and I'm going to see if he wants to do one before SummerSlam or after. Personally, I think Kev and I should do it right after SummerSlam because SummerSlam is going to give us so much clarity. We're going to see if Damian Priest retains. We're going to see if we reign in a new era with Gunther. We're going to see if Roman Reigns returns. We're going to see if Randy Orton turns on Cody at SummerSlam. There's going to be a lot that's going to go down at SummerSlam and that week. I'd rather do the next one with Kev right after SummerSlam because I could see what's going to happen already. If we do it before, there's going to be so many what ifs. What if this? What if that? What if this? Well, if we wait an extra week or two, a lot of those what ifs are already answered. So we'll probably do it right after SummerSlam. And then obviously later this year, we'll have to do another one where it talks about, the future of this country and everything like that. But that'll be something separate. So if people want to avoid that or skip it, by all means. But I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. Again, if you enjoyed the show, hit that like button, subscribe. Again, I normally don't bring that up anymore, but again, people in the know keep telling me, they're like, look, the more people you get to do that, the more that tells YouTube, hey, maybe we should recommend this show to other people. Some people seem to like it. So just take a moment and do that. That helps. As always, download the audio shows. That keeps us relevant in the stats. It is very, very cool right now to see us number one in a few countries outside of the United States. Right now, I think we're like in the top 30 or 40 in the U.S. Canada, we're in the top 25, which is great. We will not stop until we're back to number one. And as we get our audience back and we grow, the content will grow along with it. But that's all up to you. That's all up to you. So any way you can, if you want to support the shows any way you can, that helps us more than you can imagine. So it's not always about, money, but other ways could help us in a very big way. So much love. I'm out of here. I'll catch you all again here next Friday night, which will be the 26th of July. Wow, we're going to already be at the end of July. Unbelievable. This year is freaking flown. I can't believe we're almost going to be in August by next week. Jesus. But Kevin and I will be live this Monday. I'll be live on Patreon next Tuesday. It'll definitely be off the cuff next Tuesday. Kev will be live next Thursday on Patreon with Trez. And then we'll be right back here on Friday night. And I will definitely post that episode with the live sex celebration. There was 2 podcasts that Patreon had requested. They'll be put up over there as well. I know Rams fan had asked one about, I think, Eric Young, something with TNA. I got to look it up. And there was another one too. I think Bully Ray's response to us. So, and closing it out, El Guero, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Thank you for that sticker. That is awesome. So, everyone, you all have a good one. Much love as always, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Be well. Have a nice weekend.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.